like when I look at like successful people like yourself or like Andrew Tate, I'm looking to see. I'm first of all, I'm amazed at the elite level of operating capacity that you guys operate under. But I also am looking as a student. I'm looking at you guys and say, okay, what are these guys doing that allows them to live the life that they're living? Okay, you have a strong network. Okay, you have your discipline. You wake up on time. You say fuck off to these hoes, and you have these character traits and these sets of habits that lead you to success. So I'm a student of the game. Focus. You gotta have that confidence, right? You gotta be like, yo, I'm fucking better than everybody. I will fucking smash everybody. Have a crippling insecurity, a fear of not being good at all, of being shit. And that fear drives. Hello and welcome to Only the Real. I am your host, Tony Kyle, and today we have one of my close friends, a very special guest. He is one of the best guys I know. He's a fucking killer. About number one, he's an ex-UFC fighter. He fought many times in the UFC at the highest levels that you can possibly do it, and he's now teaching and coaching other individuals how to reach their maximum potential in any realm of human endeavor. We have none other than the Luke Barnatt. What's up, brother?
Well, you put on your radio voice. You sound like so professional. I'm impressed.
Well, listen, sometimes
that was one hell of an intro, so I appreciate it.
That was actually off the dome too. So, well, thank you for coming, brother. It's really good to have you. It only took. I mean, I think I've asked you, I don't know, 10 times to come do a podcast with me, and you waited until Black History Month to say yes.
Well, you know, you got to give something back, but I feel like DC, you want me to come all the way to DC? It took me until Black History Month to get here. So.
Yeah, well, welcome anyway.
Thanks, bro. Thanks.
So, I mean, so now that you're in DC, bro, like, what do you notice is the main difference between Europe and DC? Like, what, or not even DC, but the States?
Well, I've just been in Miami, and Miami's the most European cultured place in the States, or at least I feel that way. When I say European culture, Latino culture, like it's a little bit different vibe. So to come from Miami to DC, the people are a bit grayer. That's a good way of putting it. Like, I've only been here a day, so I don't have a great understanding of it. But
you lived in DC before, though, too.
No, never lived in DC.
I mean, I'm sorry,
in the States. Yeah. I lived in California, and I've traveled all over. I've been to quite a lot of states. And I feel the main cultural difference, this is going to not be negative about America, but the main cultural difference here is like the American culture from the young age. I feel like they're raised on TV and they're raised on like, America's the best country in the world. We're going to be the best. Everything's amazing. And they're like indoctrinated from a very, very, very young age. Whereas in Europe, we kind of lean more on culture and on history and on, you know, what our people have been through and all that sort of stuff. So it's slightly different. I feel like everyone in America wants to be a celebrity. Everyone. But I also feel like now that's influencing Europe, and Europe is a bit more like that, like with TikTok and Instagram and all this crap. Like everyone wants to be famous, everyone wants attention. But I feel like that's been America for a very, very, very long time. So I'd say that's the main difference. Maybe not so much here in DC. I don't know yet. How I would describe the people I've met in DC so far, and I've not met many people, and this is very, very what I'm going to say, but is stiff. I would say they're like quite stiff. It feels kind of like West End London, like banking place. I mean, I'm staying in a stiff neighborhood.
Yeah, you're staying like Georgetown or something.
Yeah, I'm right next to Georgetown, which is a stiff neighborhood. But that's how I feel at the moment. I'm staying at the Ritz-Carlton, and everyone there is just kind of like,
yeah.
You know, it's not really my scene, so I picked the wrong place.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever seen like the show Billions or something, like you got, or House of Cards, this is exactly what it is, where everybody's a politician or they're super well connected in the city, and they all have to put on this stiff persona. That's just what they do, you know. So it's really odd. I stayed in Marbella for a few weeks, about 6 or 7 weeks, and when I say like the culture over there. And I was just in Marbella. I didn't go anywhere else in Spain or anything like that. But the culture is just so beautiful. Like, it's peaceful out there. The people are nice. One thing I will say, though, when I go to restaurants is that the service is so shitty.
Oh, terrible.
It's the fucking worst.
Especially in Spain, it's significantly, but in the whole of Europe compared to America. That's one thing America's got right, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's a few more, but in my opinion, when it comes to service, I think Marbella specifically is free. That's how I describe the culture. It's freedom. People are happy. They're people are thriving, and they want to do things. They're not controlled so much. That's why I live there, because that's what I want to be surrounded by, But so I feel like when I say grey, or the people that are stiff, I just feel like they're putting on this persona or this facade that they need to be a certain way, they need to fit in a certain box, and I hate all that. I hate all that stiffness. So I think, you spent a bit of time in Marbella. You went to Prague as well. You've been over Europe a little bit. I think the European vibe is just, what's the name of the podcast?
Only the Real.
Only the Real. And I believe that Europe has a much realer vibe than the US. I think the US is a bit faker, and I think we just we're more ourselves. And like I said, we lean a little bit more on culture, especially me. I'm 100% myself. I think that's my strongest point in life. I decided to be that. When I wanted to get into fighting, I was like, I'm going to do this because I want to do it. And that's how I've led my life since I was 15, 16.
Yeah. So I'm glad you brought up the fighting. That's exactly what I wanted to go into. At what point in your life did you wake up and decide, I want to get punched in the face repeatedly every single day for 10 years? And why did you do that?
17 years. I don't know. Good question. I think I was when I started fighting, I started pretty late. I was 16, 17, maybe even 18. And I kind of did it because I was always the big guy. Obviously, I'm a giant dude. And when I was going out with my mates, we would go to, in Europe, again, drinking's a bit different. You can go to the pub at 16 and start getting drunk and playing pool. You can't go to clubs and all that sort of stuff. But you can go to your local pub and have a beer at 15, pretty much. I definitely could, because I looked 19.
Yeah.
And the drinking age is 18. So.
And where'd you grow up again?
I grew up in London, in Islington, but then I moved to Essex, which is just a suburb of London. It's an hour outside of London. It's a bit countrified.
Gotcha.
Not, kind of like a village. It's a city, but it's like a village. And I would go to the pub with the boys, and I was always the one that had to sort out the bullshit, because there was always bullshit. When you're 16, 17-year-old lad, there's always something that goes on. So I took it upon myself to kind of become the protector, if you want to call it that. And it got to the point where there must have been something inside of me that wanted trouble, because if you said a mean word, or you swore at my friend, or you bumped into him, I was on you. Really? And I wasn't fighting on you. I wasn't aggressive. I was you need to apologize. You can't say that. You can't talk to my friend like that. You need to apologize. No. You can't leave until you apologize. And I would push and push and push and push until the guy swung and hit me, and then we'd get into a fight. And I couldn't fight. I didn't know how to fight. But that was kind of I don't know, that don't know where that come from, or how that bred into me. But then from doing that for a couple of years, I got into again, I left school at 15, 16. And I started working as a glass collector. I don't know if you have that in the States, but basically it's a guy that works in a pub or a bar that doesn't serve drinks, but he picks up all the empty glasses.
Like a busboy.
Yeah, busboy, right. Okay, so I did that at 15, 16. I worked for my mate's brother who ran a pub, and I did that for a little while. Then I became a barman, then I became a cocktail barman, blah, 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 whatever. And then when I got to 18, I was this shit's hard. Pouring drinks and talking to fucking idiots all day, it's hard work. And I get paid less than the doorman gets paid. So why don't I just become the doorman? So that was, whatever. And the doorman gets more pussy anyway. So I want to do that. So I decided to become a doorman. You have to have some course. So then I started doing security on the front door of clubs, or bars, not really clubs. And again, I come from a small town, so it wasn't particularly dangerous. I started working at a few dangerous venues after that, but to start with, it was pretty easy. And so then when I became a doorman, I started working with a guy called Jack Mason, who was... He was I don't know, like I said, we're like a little village, but in my little village at the time, Jack was the coolest guy on the planet. You know what I mean? He was the dude. He was the guy. He ran the doors in Chubb, a couple of doors in Chubb, got all the pussy, but he was 5'10", and I'm 6'6". So even me, my arrogance and my ignorance, I was fucking smash this little prick, no problem. He was built like this, you know what I mean? In great shape, strong guy. I didn't know much about him, but I kind of looked up to him. I definitely looked up to him.
Just not physically.
No, fucking no, I did. I just had this weird thing, and I was joking around with him and said we should have a fight and all this sort of stuff. And at that time, I didn't know, but he'd had like 20 professional cage fights. I didn't know because I didn't know him that well.
And that wasn't a thing back then either.
No. It was like underground. That's why I didn't know about it. Like it wasn't on TV or anything like that, especially in Europe. And he took me down the gym, and I had been goading him. Like, I'm going to fuck you up. You're a little pussy. Like, it's in England, we have this thing like you call banter.
Yeah. We do it here too. Yeah, okay. I mean, all the boys talk shit just traditionally.
Yeah, it's tradition. You got to talk shit to your mates. If you're not talking shit to your friends, you're not really friends. Exactly, right? So I would be talking mad shit to Jack, like absolutely insane stuff. And he used to train at a place that was an hour and a half drive away from where we lived. And he took me one Tuesday. And he said, "You're not going to spar with me, but you're going to spar with this guy." And he brought in some like 5'5", 150-pound like dude. And I was like, and he fucking raped me. And when I say rape, I mean I was like beaten from pillar to post, embarrassed, thrown around, like just it was. Your ego goes from like here to the ground, you know. The guy's name was Robbie, and he ended up becoming my coach. But that day, I didn't even get to spar with Jack or train with Jack. I just got manhandled.
Jack knew he would have just demolished you.
He was just laughing at me the whole time. We wrestled a bit before, and like I knew that he was strong and everything else, but I was like, just hold his head and whatever. You know, every ignorant thought that every man has that thinks they can fight when they can't fight. That was every ignorant thought that I had. So I got fucked up. There was another kid there called AJ. He was like 170 pounds, fucked me up. Another guy called John, 100, fucked me up. Everyone like embarrassed me because no one was fighting at that point in life who couldn't fight. Like they were all veterans, you know, whatever.
But my question is, like, with your size, and you said you were fighting somebody like 5'5", or let's even say 5'10", like, couldn't you just like grab him and hold him and get on him or something like that? Like,
not if you know what you're doing, bro. That's the thing. Like now, yeah, okay, fair enough. But then when you know nothing, they would just do this tiny little thing and fuck you up. Like it's such a technical sport. It doesn't get enough. People don't. If you've never done it. Never done jiu-jitsu or you've never done it, you just don't understand how complicated and difficult and how a tiny little change in pressure changes how the fight goes. You know, like little grip change. Like if you hold something like this or if you hold it like this, it's different. You know, it has different power, leverage, blah, blah, blah. So I knew nothing. I just got raped. So I remember on the way home with Jack in the car, I was sitting like, you know, like I drove there like this. And on the way back, I was like, so embarrassed,
right?
You know, like don't fucking talk to me.
But he was cool about it, though, right?
He just laughed. He knew. You know what I mean? Like looking back at it, he just knew. And
what do you think was going through his mind in that moment? He was like, he's never gonna come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And literally, that's what he thought. And that's what I was gonna get to. Like we drive home, and I was like, I'll see you on Thursday. And he was like, all right, bro. You know, like whatever. Then I came on Thursday, and then I was like, I got fucking raped. And he said, I'll see you on Tuesday. Because it was Tuesday and Thursday every week. We used to drive up to Cambridge.
And then just to pause there for a second, during those breaks in between those sessions, like what was going through your mind? Like why did you decide? Like did you have to really dig deep and ask yourself, did you want to do this seriously?
At this point, there's nothing serious about it. At this point, I don't want to fight. I don't want to try. I just cannot walk around this planet knowing that there's some little 5'5" dude that can fuck me up. Like I can't stand on the front of a door and be security and act like the big man, knowing that there's, in my opinion, little midgets that can just rape me. Yeah. Like, I can't do that. You know what I mean? Like so, it was 100% like a pain point, a pride thing. At the beginning, it was chauvinistical bullshit. Like it wasn't. There was no altruism or you know, it wasn't doing it from a good place. I was doing it 1,000% because I was angry and I was like
your ego
embarrassed.
Was
my ego,
exactly.
All ego, well, absolutely, like completely. And so what would say when you said like why did you start fighting or how did you continue? The thing about me that has been the same from the moment I was born is when I start doing something, I do it 100%, and I do it from the beginning to the end. Like I don't half try something and then I don't do things perfectly at all, but I will start and I will keep going, and it's been my strongest suit and my weakest point in my life for many years. So when I started this journey of fighting, and I said to myself, this is embarrassing, I need to learn how to do it. It just was the beginning, and I just slowly layered pressure on top of myself. Okay, I went Tuesdays and Thursdays with Jack for months, And then I would add Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays would be in Chelmsford. I'd go to kickboxing or whatever else and try and learn skills, and then go to do jiu-jitsu and whatever else I had to do. I would be adding those things in so that I was improving and improving and improving. And I just keep doubling down. It got to the point where about 6 months in, or maybe 8 months in, I had my first fight 6 months in, so it must have been before that. My boss, because at this time I was working in a logistics company in London, and he was like, "You need to pick one or the other, bro." He said, "Bro, you need to pick one or the other, because I can tell you're distracted at work. I can tell you're not thinking about," because I was completely consumed by this thing. So I'd get up in the morning. I used to work in London, so it's like an hour away on the train. I'd get up at like 5:30. I'd go to the gym. After the gym, I'd go to work. In my lunch break, I'd go to the gym. After work, I'd go to the gym. I was just like obsessed, you know?
Yeah.
And at work, I was obviously not performing the way I needed to, because, you know, whatever. And it got to the point after I had my third fight or whatever, he was like, "You need to pick. You either give up the fighting or you," and I was like, "Fuck you, bro. I'm out." You know, he called me into the office and said, "I can tell you're distracted. You need to pick one or the other." I walked back to my desk, wrote my resignation, gave it back to him, and left. I was like, "Okay, cool.
Wow.
I'm not interested in this bullshit. If someone's gonna," and again, comes down to someone else telling me what to do. That's kind of what the freedom of fighting, and then how I went through the hardship of like living in the gym, sleeping on the floor, having no money. I didn't care, as long as I had my freedom and I decided what I wanted to do. And what I wanted to do was get punched in the face every day, like you said, which is a weird thing to do, but that felt like it was the price that I needed to pay to live my life the way I wanted to live it.
Yeah.
I kind of went around the question, but I just mean, it's like I started fighting because of my ego was hurt, and then my consistency, that the thing that I have within me that I've always had is like, I'm very, very consistent at everything that I do. Yeah. And that kind of grew into a passion, because it wasn't at the beginning. It's so fucking hard to start training. It's so hard. It's so painful.
Tell me about it.
Yeah,
I had one fight. I'm just like, yo.
Yeah. So it's like that you gotta understand how deeply I was like wounded. Like my ego was wounded, and I got a huge ego, and it was, you know,
yeah,
and it was wounded. So that like propelled me forward.
But you know, even in that moment, man, just hearing you talk about, in that moment, making the decision to literally you were at a fork in the road. You could have, you know, caved into the pressure, the societal pressure of not having, you know, money. You could have been thinking about, you know, your family or yourself, like, hey, how am I going to eat? But you know, at that fork in the road, you decided to take that road that was uncertain. You didn't know where that was going to lead. You didn't know that you would make it, you know, to the UFC.
At this point, I didn't even think about the UFC. It wasn't even like, now people. It seems so strange, but the UFC didn't even exist then. Like this 15 years ago, it existed, but it was an American thing. It wasn't in it. I knew like one guy who fought in the UFC, Michael Bisping. Was the only guy anyone ever knew, and it was like, back then, an English guy like me fighting the UFC was just like, nah, it's not going to happen. Like, I was doing it 100% for myself at that point, you know, like, and my team. Mm-hmm. So it was like, the decision when I wanted to give up my job, like I said, I was doing pretty well for a young kid. I you know, traveling to London. Good job, too. Good job, like 40 grand a year at 20 or something. I can't remember. Like, the numbers are weird now because everything's changed. It's 15 years ago. But I was doing well. Had my own apartment at 20, my own apartment. I remember, this is so sad what I'm about to say, but I remember like at 20 years old or 19 years old, I bought myself a fridge because I thought I was an adult. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah, I got my apartment, I got a sofa that you know, buying your own furniture is just so gay. That's where I was in life. I was like, thought I was settling down and I was going to get this career, and now I look back at it and it's just embarrassing. But when I had that, so I had this certainty or whatever you want to call it, good job, doing well, and then I decided like I gave up my flat, I gave up my job, I gave up any sort of you know, security, whatever you want to call it, and I ended up actually, I haven't told this before, but the transition to living in the gym actually came through an opportunity of a friend. So when I gave up this job, my friend ran a clothing store, and he wanted to open a second shop up. And the shop that he wanted to open up was in Chelmsford, and I started working with him on this shop. It used to be called Blue Orange, and it was like a designer what you call like an independent. So it was like a shop that used to house different designers, and we would go to the buyers and pick the items and all that sort of stuff. So I started working with him because we became like good friends. And he opened up a shop in Huntingdon, which is right next to where my gym was, like 20 minutes. So I like ended up moving to Huntingdon when I quit this job to work in this clothing store. But I was dead broke, had no money, didn't have a house to live in Huntingdon. So we slept in the stockroom of the shop. So my life became like we'd work from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And before that, I'd get up and go to the gym because I had to have a shower because we didn't have a shower. So I'd have a shower, brush my teeth, go to work 8 to 8. Then I'd get the bus to Cambridge to train, and then I would come back and do the same. And we slept on inflatable mattresses.
Those are the worst. Those are the worst.
In the stock rooms, it's better than the mats, to be fair. But in the stock room, and we didn't have TV or anything like that. So I just remember we had a laptop and we watched every single episode of The Godfather, like on repeat.
The movie?
No. The not The Godfather. What's it called? That shows how bad my brain is. The TV series about The Sopranos.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. So we watched every episode of The Sopranos, and it's a long series, and we watched it like on repeat. And I did that for about 8 months.
So wait. So for 8 months, you didn't have a home. You slept in the stock room and showered at the gym every single day.
Yeah.
Most people won't even like sleep outside for a night, bro. Like this is crazy.
But I was living true to myself, right? I was doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I got to train, which was the most important thing to me at the time.
What were your parents saying to you about at this time?
I wasn't like, I have a fantastic relationship with my parents. My parents were great people. But when I was younger, in fact, there's a step before that as well. So my brain, when it comes to time, so I got on really, really well with my parents, but my mum was super religious. So she was Jehovah's Witness, and she like forced me into religion pretty heavily when I was young. So when I was about 15, 16, I rebelled against that all sort of stuff. My parents got divorced, and my dad moved to London, so I was just with my mum. And I didn't tell my mum shit. My mum was like she still is. They call it like a helicopter parent. Is that the right phrase?
I don't know what that is.
It's like when a parent's always buzzing around their children, like helicopter, like on top of them all the time, everything. So it got to the point like I would never tell my mum a single thing. Like if I had a girlfriend, she didn't know because she would ask me 1,000 questions. Yeah. Right? Now I've got kids. I got a wife. My mum and my wife are friends, and I say to my wife, "Don't say shit to my mum because if you tell her anything, she'll ask you 1,000 questions." And now she understands because my mum's like, it's from a good place.
Yeah, of course, she's your mom. She's freaking out.
Yeah. But it was fucking infuriating. So I like didn't speak to her much about a lot of things, and then I was before I was working in this in the logistics company that I ended up quitting. I was working I used to run a restaurant so I said I was a busboy, cocktail barman, security. I would work as a security officer, like a doorman, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday, and then Monday through Sunday I would also work as a waiter. And then I went from a waiter to an assistant manager to a manager of a shitty place called a Harvester. It's like you have a version of it. What's that? It's like a chain restaurant that's open 24/7. Begins with a D.
Denny's.
IHOP. Denny's. There's that sort of thing, but English. It's a little bit better because the level of food in Europe is way higher than here. But
of course,
it's fine.
I agree.
But yeah, so I worked in a Harvester, and then I got a job offering in Peterborough, which is like an hour up, closer to my gym again. So I moved there to run as an assistant manager to run this place in Peterborough. And it was the worst performing Harvester in every single Harvester in the whole country. And there's like 500 or something ridiculous. So it was the worst of the worst of the worst. And my manager at the time took me, and I was 17 or 18 or 9, I can't remember. And I lived on my own in this fucking restaurant above. So the restaurant was like pub on the bottom floor, restaurant on the middle floor, my house on my, like where I slept on the top floor. So I had a bed, which was good.
Okay.
And I just used to like I was just a workaholic, so I used to work like crazy and all that sort of stuff. But that was my first like going away. I was trying to say, like, I didn't tell my parents shit. I just went. I was working. They knew I was okay. It was okay.
Gotcha.
So then when I decided to do the whole clothing store thing and everything else, they just knew I could look after myself, is what I'm saying. So like, I never told my mum I was sleeping on the floor. I just said, I've got this job opportunity. They'll look after me for housing. Like, it'll be fine, sort of thing. And it was all right. And then from that, I transitioned. I started fighting, like actually competing, and I got so involved in it that I decided to move from the shop to the gym. So my gym is called the Tsunami Gym in Cambridge. It's not there anymore, but it used to be like a big facility. And the owner is a guy called Nigel. And I said to Nigel, if I could sleep in the gym, because it was a big place, I'd like look after it at night. I'd be the receptionist. Like I just could sort me. Because I was getting bored of getting the bus back and forward, having to work all day, all this crap. So I transitioned myself into living in the gym, and he gave me like a dark room, like it's like a storeroom that had mats in it that I could sleep on the floor.
Did he say that you were fucking crazy?
No, he loved it, bro.
Really?
He loved it. Yeah. Nigel is the cheapest millionaire that I know. He like owns a farm in the UK and like sells pumpkin seeds and stuff to Tesco's, which is like a Walmart. Like he's got so much money, but he's so cheap that he was like, I got a free employee. I could get this guy could work for free.
Right.
And I became like a real part of my community, like within the gym. Then no one really was fighting. So if you were willing to do it and you had any sort of talent, which I didn't have, but I developed, is like they would invest everything in you. So without Nigel, I would have never done nothing, because I would have never gone to the gym. I would have never been there. And he basically sorted me out massively.
Wow.
And at this point, I've probably been training about a year. About a year, maybe a year and a half. And they allowed me to teach the beginners, like the new people, like the very, very basic techniques. And they'd pay me £15 for a session. So I'd do that twice a week, make £30 a week. And that £30 a week would buy me chicken and rice to eat my food. And then every now and then I'd pick up like I'd work as a doorman in Cambridge. So I'd be making a bit more money. And that would be like my social life. So, but you can imagine, right? I used to work at a club called Revolutions. It's like a chain in the UK or in Europe. And I was a doorman there. I actually became like assistant head doorman. And you get pussy, right? Because it always comes back down to that. And
that's why we do everything.
Yeah. And I'd be training so hard that I'd be so tired. But then I'd have to go to the doors, and I'd get to good stage with some chick or whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh, so where do you live?" Like in a gym. Try to go, and I'm not saying it never happened, but like it's much harder to convince a girl to come back to
your gym.
to a gym and sleep on the floor with you than
maybe look at my mats.
Yeah, exactly. But what I loved about that experience, there was a guy called John Maguire who also fought in the UFC. He was like my mentor or like main training partner for a long time, as well as Jack. Mm-hmm. And he ended up staying in the gym with me. Like he lived about an hour away, but he'd come up and stay, and we would train together like 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day, like grappling, and he'd teach me so much. And like we're on this fucking journey, like a proper journey. And I think that's, again, because of my consistency in the way I think and my brain, I was like so involved in the process, like becoming the best version of myself as a fighter as I could be. But everything else, I talk about pussy and I make jokes, but it all like didn't matter. None of that mattered to me. I wasn't bothered about anything else apart from trying to become the best fighter I could be. And I had a lot of, you call it luck, but I wouldn't call it luck. It's like a lot of advantages. I just ended up going to the right gym with the right people, with the right mentality that really, really helped me. Like I said, Nigel letting me stay at the gym, like John and Jack just like mentoring me and whatever. And if I'd have gone to any other gym, like if Jack had trained at a different place that was closer and I didn't, my life would have been completely different. If I wasn't allowed to sleep in the gym, my life would have been completely different.
I disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. I'm a firm believer in visualization and manifesting your reality. Mm-hmm. The fact that your frequency, the frequency of your mind and your thoughts in that period of your life gravitated you towards that. I think whether it was Jack or fucking Jack shit, any fucking body, you would have still found a way to get back on that path because you were attracted to that. So regardless of where you were, at least I think that it would have found you or you would have found it, because the more you think about something, the closer it gets to you and it starts to manifest itself in your life. So I just think that was just a product of how your brain worked.
I mean, I completely agree.
It just happened to work out the way it did.
So looking back retrospectively at it, those moments, those people are the ones that have allowed me to, they're the ones that open the door. Yeah, I still had to walk through it, right? And I still had to do the fucking work. And there's that famous speech or whatever, I can't remember who it is, you'll know, who says like, firstly, I'd like to thank me for being me, and whatever it was. But like you have to show gratitude to those people, because without them, they're like the steps that helped me get to where I needed to be. And I still have good relationships with those guys, especially Nigel. I speak to him a lot. I still consider him. He's an older guy than me. He's been through a lot. He gives me a lot of great advice, and I listen to him because he's one of the best bits of advice he gave me, which was, I've had a lot of ups and downs. The thing about fighting is it's the fucking best thing in the world and the worst thing on the planet. Like, it's when you win, you're the fucking man. Like, and you feel unbeatable. And there's this phrase in fighting, we say, like, you cannot be held responsible for the first minute after you win. So when you win a fight and they give you a mic, you could say any random fucking shit. It doesn't matter. You cannot be held responsible, because those endorphins and all that pride and everything flowing through your blood, whatever you say will let you off. You know what I mean? Like, cool story, bro.
I mean, after I won my fight, like, I was very emotional. I started crying. Like,
I remember.
Yeah, it was just an emotional moment. So, and then I look back on it, I was like, why the fuck was I crying, bro? Like, you fucking pussy.
No, it's the opposite. It's like you allowed that emotion, like, to over. Like, I remember when I first walked out in the UFC. It was in the MGM the MGM in Vegas. And as I walk out, get emotional talking about it. It's weird. The guy that I lived with so eventually in the gym, I went from sleeping on the floor to getting a bed behind reception to getting an apartment above the gym, right? So when I had the apartment above the gym, there was a guy called Mika that I ended up living with. He's from Finland but lived in Cambridge, whatever. But like, Mika was like, me and him were together every fucking day, training, whatever. So I remember on my walkout, they were like, Mika was there on the right as I walked out, and Nigel was there as well. The two, they were sitting together, like, and I remember like hugging them and like starting to cry. Yeah. So it's like, on that moment where I'm walking to battle to fucking fight some guy for my debut in the UFC, I was crying.
Wow.
So I think like controlling and allowing emotion to most people say, like you say, pussy. It's like you push yourself so far and so hard and like invested so much. I was there for the fight, so I know, and the camp and everything. And I know because I ran the camp. The camp was fucking hard, and we pushed you guys beyond any boundary that you probably knew you had. So then to go out there and to do it and to fight and to win, emotions are high. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. So your emotions, crying, whatever you want to call it. But even if you lost, you would have cried. It's the same. You know, it's just that emotionality is so high. So you have those. I had that moment. Like I said, walking to the cage, I cried. I won that fight by decision. Got a contract in the UFC. Won a bonus. Whatever. Those moments are like.
That's the highlight.
The highlight.
Yeah.
But then I've also had moments where I get knocked out and I'm in the bathroom on my own crying.
Yeah.
You know,
so you're at the complete opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah. So like Nigel said to me that he said when I was going through this, and I'm going through it now financially as well. You know, you have amazing months where you make loads of money, and life's great, and then you have months where you don't make money, you can't pay bills.
Yeah.
The stress of that, like the yo-yo. And Nigel always said to me, he goes, whenever you think it's really, really good, it's not as good as you think.
Yeah.
And whenever you think it's really, really bad, it's not as bad as you think. You need to remember like the spectrum, right? It's never as bad as you think. It's never as good as you think. And if you live, but then it's like, I get to this point because I'm kind of there now. I'm pretty level-headed. And I feel like I'm missing out on the joy of like the excitement. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, this is amazing. I'm smashing it. You know, now I'm just like, meh, it's not as good as I think it's going to be. Yeah. You know, and I might perform better because of that, and it might bring me more, but I don't get that childhood, like.
Yeah, that excitement, that everything's new and you want to,
You know me. Like, I'm like, sweet, bro.
Sweet, bro.
Yeah. I'm very.
We made $1 million, bro.
Yeah. It's all right. Like, nonchalant, whatever. But it's like, so the only way I get true joy, like that true childish, like, oh, this is amazing, it comes from my kids. That's the only time I get, like, when I see my daughter laugh or she builds some stupid house or whatever, and she comes to me and goes, Daddy, look at this. You draw some picture. You feel that, like, thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do too. I feel that too, especially when I'm with my son, and then also when I'm with my boys. Like when you get those special moments with your boys, where like the conversation is just right, the jokes are perfect and on time, and then I sometimes catch myself in the moment as I'm dying laughing. I'm just like, yo, this is kind of what life's about.
Yeah,
this is it right here. It's those good moments where. There's nothing else matters in the world. There could be wars all over the world, but I'm with my bros, man.
I completely agree. I think that's understated as well. I think people forget about that. And doesn't matter what situation you're in life. Like, obviously hanging out with the Tates and all that sort of stuff. They've smashed it in life, absolutely smashed it. Have everything you could ever dream of having, when it comes to like physical form or like possessions. But all that they care about it. Like, I was there last week and we spent 4 hours playing Uno. Like around the table, like playing Uno.
Who was you, me, Andrew, and Tristan?
And a couple. Tristan wouldn't play because Tristan's a pussy. But it was like Bailey, a couple of the guys that live on like the thing. There was like 5 of us or 7 of us or something like that, just playing cards. What I'm saying is like they could do anything they want, but we end up playing cards and joking, and that's where that competitiveness between your mates and all that sort of stuff. That it doesn't matter what level you get to. That's all it is. That's all that they have. That's all that you have. That's all that everyone has is connection with other people. You're just in a different place.
You don't have the financial stresses you used to have.
Yeah, but I get that. But the financial stresses, they still do. Trust me, they've got financial stress because they've got a lot of people they've got to pay. But it's like, it's different sort of financial stress. That's a big thing. Like, a lot of people talk about financial stress. I can't pay my rent. I can't pay my bills. I'm struggling, blah, blah, blah. If you can't handle the situation, paying your bills on a basic level, how are you going to run a company? How are you going to have all of these extra financial stresses? How are you going to deal with money? Everyone thinks money makes things easier. When you make money, things are difficult because you have the pressure and the stress to do the right thing with that money, to pay the right people at the right time, to make the right investments. Oh, I've got $1 million now. I need to make that into 10 million. It just changes. It's just a different type of stress. So if you can't handle the basic stresses that come with running a household, you can't handle having $100 million. Everyone thinks, if I got this money, life will be easier. It's harder. It gets harder and harder and harder and harder. And you only get the money by being able to handle the stress of the small thing, the small steps. You know what I mean? I don't know how we went from playing Uno to talking about making money, but it's like that's people think it's financial stress that causes problems, but it's got nothing to do with that. Financial stress is always there forever. Yeah. Okay, can you eat? Different, right? And I understand people are struggling, especially now in this climate, but that all comes down to you. If you want to make, like I'm saying again, talk about my fighting journey, I decided just to sleep on the floor and grind. It took me 5 years to make any money. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, people think, okay, I'm just going to make this magic pill, I'm going to make money. It's like, no, you've got to grind. So you need to understand to take a step back and to not worry about all the other bullshit, all the fancy stuff, women, all the other crap. Like, forget all that.
All distractions.
All distractions. Focus on yourself. Do it for 5 years. There is no way you can fail. It doesn't exist if you make the sacrifices. People don't want to make the sacrifices. People don't want to sleep on the floor. People don't want to eat chicken and rice every fucking day. I get it. Neither did I, but I had to do it. Yeah. So it's like, that's the thing that annoys me when people talk about financial stress or I've got these bills. Yeah. So's everyone, bro. Yeah. You know?
I remember one moment in one of my businesses, and this was the only business I was running at the time, that it was only me, and I was the one doing the operating. I'm not gonna say what business it is because you know why. Yeah. And I was the only one doing the operating, and I ended up, something happened where I lost everything. Like, and this was me. I was probably about 1.5 years into it. I had a good bit of money saved up, and I took a chance, and it all went to shit. Mm-hmm. And I was in my apartment by myself, just fucking wrecked, bro. Just fucking wrecked. And I was in the bed. I lay down in the bed and I just stayed there for an entire day. I think after about like 6 or 7 hours just sitting in the bed, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, is somebody gonna walk through the door and say, yo, here's your money back? Like, no, like, get the fuck up, get back to it, because the sooner you get back to it, the sooner you can get back on track. And that's just, I had that realization at that moment, like, oh, I'm the one that has to come and get this. I'm the one that has to come and fix this situation because nobody else is coming to save me.
Yeah. And it's hard.
It was hard.
It's hard, bro. There's no secret. It's difficult. Life's hard. Get on with it. There's a phrase, again, I'll talk about Tate's, but they said, what, you want therapy, bro? That's literally anything. Oh, my shoulder hurts. Oh, you need therapy, bro? Like, we don't give a fuck if it hurts. No one cares if it's hard. No one cares. Just get on with it. Yeah. If you're going to complain about it, fuck off. Because we're not interested in listening to you with your negative energy. It's like, oh, you need therapy. Cool. Therapy's over there. Not in my house. Get out. Like, they're super on that. So you can't bitch. You can't moan. And I do get a little bit like, and get a bit negative sometimes. And they're just on me, bro. Like, okay, cool. We don't allow that to happen. And I think having people around you like that like make you realize that, like you just said, oh, my shoulder hurts. Cool story, bro. What you want? You want me to get some ice? Yeah. He's like, who?
Are you gonna spar now? Like,
yeah. No, basically, that's what happens. Whenever you make a complaint about pain, okay, let's spar. let's do push-ups, let's do this. You're just like, oh fuck, I shouldn't have complained, because it's like again with fighting, they say that you need to be able to win on your worst day. So you break your hand, who cares? Your shoulder hurts, who cares? Like, you have to still be able to win. So if you're going to fight the next day or today or tomorrow or three days, whatever, you need to be able to perform at your best when you feel your worst. That's like the mentality of a fighter, right? And I've had fights where I've been so sick, like absolutely like fever, sweating, awful, blah, blah, blah. I got to put food on the table, I got to pay the bills, whatever. I go out there, I fight, and I win. And I've had ones where I feel like the best in the world. I go out, fight, and I lose. Like, the fighting's a fucking weird thing. When I feel like, I remember I moved up weight classes for the first time, and I went from middleweight to like heavyweights. It's 185 pounds, 205, or 84 kilos to 93 kilos. Big jump. I was fighting a guy called Max Nunes, who's a fucking lump, Swedish guy, big strong guy, and I was sick as a dog, like proper sick. And I went out there shitting my pants.
Literally by diarrhea and everything.
Yeah. And I had like one of the best performances ever and knocked him out in the first round. And it's just like, because you have that fear, and that fear motivates you. Right?
Yeah.
So it's like using that emotion in the right way.
Wow. I mean, and then this, I mean, even staying on the challenges of like being a man, right? Because I remember I had two of my close relatives, they passed away within the past like year and a half, and all like within like 8 months of each other. And I remember like looking around saying, like, where's my friends? Like, who's here to like console me? Like, who's here to be like pat me on the back? And it's lonely, bro. And it's not just like death. It could be death. It could be money. It could be a job. It could be like any fucking thing. Nobody cares.
I think that's movie bullshit, bro. You watch a film and you see, like, in a movie someone dies and everyone gets around and they console you and they make you feel good. People got lives. People got shit to do. You know, like, there's another thing that is spoken about quite a lot is like, when you die. I really like this. It's like, when you die, people are going to come to your funeral, hopefully. Maybe people won't come to mine because I'm a bit of a cunt, but hopefully. They come to your funeral, they're going to mourn you, they're going to say, okay, and maybe if you're lucky, if you have your mother is there, well, not if your mother's there because hopefully you live whatever, but your mother's there, your brothers, and maybe a couple of friends. Yeah, your death maybe is going to affect them for, you know, your mom hopefully forever, your brothers hopefully forever in their mind, but their day-to-day activities for a day. Yeah. Once you die, once the funeral's done, they go back to work, they got stress, they got bills to pay, they got things to do. They're not going to think, oh, where's Luke? Mm-hmm. They don't care, bro. It's not going to affect them whatsoever. So this is why I always talk about this when it comes down to confidence and dealing with different situations. It's like, if you are worried about other people's opinions, once you die, they couldn't give a fuck about you. Like, so
that's so sad though, bro.
It's sad, but it's true. Yeah. It's sad, but it's true. It's like, once you die, the people that you believe are closest to you and love you and look after you, or whatever, they've got lives to live. You want to hold them back, and you want them to wake up every morning and pray to you. And what are you going to do, bro? It's like, you know, you want those deep connections with people, but those deep connections have to be real. You have to understand what's important in life. And they'll be sad, and they'll miss you, and there'll be moments, but you don't want to just hold them back. It's just part of life. So I feel like if you truly understand that, and you know that when you die, no one's really going to give a fuck, then why are you allowing them to control you when you're alive? You know, that's why it's like, why are their opinions stopping you from living to your potential when you die, they don't care? You know, and I think I like to look at everything like that, like retrospectively, like look at the end of the thing and then work back. You know, when it comes to business, when it comes to fighting, when it comes to anything, I like to look at the end result that you want to achieve. What's what I want, and how do I get there? You know what I mean? So, like, when it comes to, because you have a lot of people that have these big ideas or big dreams, all these sort of stuff, and they're like, oh, how to do it? But it's like, what do you want to achieve? What's the outcome that you want? A very outcome driven outcome.
Yeah, you got to see and visualize the outcome in your mind, and then work your way backwards.
Yeah, rather than thinking, what do I do today? You think like, okay, but again, fighting. That's fucking fighting. But I remember when I think it was like my first pro fight or my set, one of my, like, it was a milestone I think it was my first pro fight, and my coach comes to me and he says, and I said to him, like, oh, this fight's it's a big one, you know, it could do something for me, but what should I do? And he said, well, imagine you're fighting for UFC title, You're going to fight for the middleweight title of the world. How would you train? Describe the training camp to me. Like, what would you do? How many times? Because the most important fight, you're going to become UFC champion. You're going to become a millionaire. Everything's going to change your life. Blah, blah, blah. What do you do with your training? Work out your training schedule. How would you do it? And I was like, I'd fucking wake up every morning and stretch. I'd do yoga. I'd have ice baths. I'd train 3 times a day. Blah 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 blah. I'd go through the whole list. I'd eat perfectly. I'd never ever go out. I'd never drink. I'd never risk it. Blah blah blah. He goes, okay, cool. Just do that. Do that for this fight. If I haven't got the money, just do that. If you do perform and train as if you're going to fight for a world title, for every fight you're always going to win. You know what I mean? Like, rather than, oh, this one's not that important. And it sounds silly, but you think about the end result and what you want to become and who you want to be, and then work back from there and live your life like you're that person. And I believe, you talk about visualization, all these different things. I think about that a lot. Like, so when we talk about money, or we talk a lot about like abundancy mindset, and I think having I tweeted this today, which is weird, but having an abundancy mindset is very, very easy when you have loads of shit. Like, if I'm a multi-millionaire, it's easy to be abundant. If I can't pay my rent, it's hard.
Yeah.
Right. And the problem with if you don't have an abundancy mindset, you become scarce, you become scared, you become internal, you become protective, you become risk averse. You don't want to take risks because, what if they... That's not how you succeed. So if you think about yourself as a millionaire and as this guy that is killing it in life, what would he do? And make that decision. Because live like you're your best version of yourself. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense that, okay, yeah, but when I've got all these things and I've got all this money and I'm going to make different decisions. Well, why don't you make the decision that the millionaire would make? You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to make a different decision based on your circumstances. I understand finance. I understand the things that hold you back. I'm not being a retard, but I'm just saying, like, the mentality has to be the same. So the secret, I think, about having an abundancy mindset is having it when you're not abundant. That's just the struggle. That's the hard part. And that's when you need people around you that have that mindset and you can read off them. But if you're you just said, like, when your business failed, you made a mistake with a risk, blah, 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 then the next time it comes around and you can take a risk, you might not have that abundancy mindset, and you might think, I'm not doing that because last time this happened, and that's trauma, and that's what holds you back from becoming better. So you should think, like, and I believe in affirmations, and I say all these things, and that keeps me on task as well. But, like, I think trying to live life as, so I'm going to use MMA again, but try and live your life as a champion, like as a fighter who is a champion or is fighting for a title. Live your life like that guy now, today. 10 years before you become a champion, that's how you get there. You make the decisions that a champion makes for 10 years to be one, right? And the same as when it comes to money. What decisions would a millionaire make? You might not know, but I'm just saying.
But then you go learn, though, as well. You know, there's plenty of books out there that'll teach you the fundamentals and the mindset that these millionaires have, where you can at least understand the concepts, so that when you get your, $500 check, you can, put a little bit here, invest this in Bitcoin, blah, blah, blah. You can make those little decisions. Yeah,
and you just extrapolate it out. But I don't even mean like about financial decisions. I think more about like you said, like risks and understanding. Like, if I had so much money in the world, this is how I think, and I truly, truly believe this as well. Like, if you gave me 100 million tomorrow, my life would look pretty much the same. I would just have nicer shit. Like, okay, I'd have a nicer car, I'd have a nicer house. Apart from that, I'd be, because I'm living my life how I want to live it. I'm doing what I want to do. And I know not everyone can do that. It's not my fault you can't do it. It's your fault you can't do it. It's because you haven't allowed yourself. So if you were given 100 mil today, what changes would you make to your life? I'm not looking for the bullshit. I don't care about that. I'm past that. You know what I mean? I understand myself and know what I am and who I am. And my wife always says, we'll go on a world cruise. I don't want to go on a fucking world cruise. How boring does that sound? Like, I want to work. I want to build. I want to inspire. I want to do things, right? So all it does, if you give me that money, is it just gives me more ammo to do more of what I'm already doing, you know?
And that's why a lot of people who get money, their entire life turns to shit. They do more drugs, they fuck more hookers, like, because all it does, money is the amplifier to who you are as a person. So if you don't have your character already set up, if you don't have the integrity, the honesty, that mindset that's going to, influence or impact the world, then you're just gonna do shit.
I mean, if you're a loser now and you get 100 mil, you're just a loser with 100 mil. I know loads of losers with loads of money. I know loads of them.
The streamers.
A lot of streamers, But it's like, it doesn't fix your problems. You need to fix your problems now. So that's like the secret to becoming wealthy, not just when it comes to money, but with mental health and all these other things that we have these problems. You just need to imagine you're this guy and act like that person. You know, it sounds so simple, but it is. It's not difficult. Yeah. Envision the best version of yourself and be that guy, and stick up to like what that guy would do. Don't snake some guy because you might make, like you said, if you could snake some friend and make 10 grand, well, if I had 100 mil, I'm not going to do that. So why would I do it now? Because I need 10 grand? No, it's not going to happen. And then it comes down to integrity and all those sort of things. So like, why would you ever put your character, like your character's worth 100 million, it's worth billions if you want to hold it and be that person. So I think that's a big problem. People can't see themselves there, and that's because of society's suppressing them, making them feel like shit, all the rest of it, all the food we're eating. There's so many things we could go into, but it's like, so they can never imagine, they can't even imagine themselves like that. I got a friend who is the smartest guy I know, literally got a first degree in maths, like genius level. A close friend from school, and his dad ran a big business. I actually worked for him for a little while, and amazing guy, funny, quite good looking, like got everything going for him. You know what I mean? And I just, when his dad's business went under because of COVID or whatever else destroyed his business, he decided to become a maths teacher. Right. So this guy who is 1,000 times more intelligent than me, and he's charming, he's good. He's not like a boring guy.
Yeah.
He's a maths teacher. I just look at him and think, bro, the potential you have as a person is 1,000x what I have. And you don't even see it because he's been battered down. He's seen his dad fail, and he's, I don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that.
Fear.
And it's just fear. And he's been overcome by fear. And I tried to talk to him. I tried to...
No.
Done, bro. It's like, you're 35. You could be, still at 35, you could be anything you want to be in the world, and you think being a maths teacher is the answer. Making 60 grand a year. It's just like, I can't explain it. You know, I can't understand how this incredible guy can just allow himself to be put into a little box, you know, and like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't do that. I don't want to do that. That might happen. Bro.
That's the mental setbacks that we put on ourselves. It goes to what he believes. That's what he thinks he can operate under, to the best of his abilities. If he knew more, he would do more. He just that's what he knows.
I think it's self-belief is such a complicated thing, and I think that's the first step to anything is believing that you can do it. Right? Yeah. If you believe you can, you believe you can't. Yeah. You're right both ways. Yeah, fucking gay, but it's true. It's like if you, we always say this about talk about like picking up chicks or making money or whatever you want to talk about. It's like if you don't think you can do it, why is anyone else going to believe you can do it? Yeah. If you don't think you can go in the cage and beat some dude up, why is anyone else going to? You don't need other people to go, come on, bro, you can do it. Yeah. You don't need that. Like, you need to believe in yourself that you can do it. And I don't know how that gets eroded in people, that self-belief, but I think that's a huge, huge problem. I think that's the reason that most people aren't achieving anything is because they don't even think it's possible. And when you're around, that's why the people that you hang out with are so important. I know everyone goes over this, but when you just see it, I remember when I joined the War Room, for money was, I was limited with money, super limited. And I would think that making 100 grand a year was like, oh, that guy's got money. You know what I mean? And then I met these guys that make 100 grand a month, 200 grand a month, $1 million a month. I was just like, how is that? Oh, it's possible. You can do it. You can do it. This guy can do it. This guy's a fucking idiot. How's he doing?
I know a lot of idiots that make money. You're like, what the
fuck's going on, bro? Like, but if you never see it and you never put yourself in that circumstance and you never speak to those people and you just hang around with maths teachers, you think you're doing well.
Shout out to all the math teachers out there.
Yeah, no, and they do an important job. Listen, all kids have got to learn maths. I'm not insulting it. I'm just saying, like, if that is your true potential and that is the life that you want to live and you want to help kids learn how to do maths, good on you. Do it. I'm all about that.
But it's about being true and honest to who
yourself,
you are.
To who you are. And maybe my mate, that's what he wants. I know he doesn't. I know it's not, but whatever, you know. So I think being true to who you are is such a complicated thing, but it comes down to believing in yourself. And if you don't believe in yourself, then the only way, I think, the only way to cultivate self-belief is to do things step by step that you say you want to do. Like little things, you know, and I have this whole list system where I write down a list of things that I need to do that day, and every time I do it, I tick it off, and it's stupid small things, you know, compliment my wife, tick, because I'm terrible at that. Right? So it's like there's little, very, very achievable things that you can do and every time you tick one up, you feel like, G.
Compliment my wife, I'm G.
Yeah, definitely not. But you can cultivate that self-belief, like wake up at the same time every day. Okay, I woke up at the same. It's not complicated. I know it's like that whole make your bed scenario bullshit thing, but it's true. If you want to build self-belief, you have to complete very, very basic things over and over again, and then once you complete those basic things, make those basic things more harder, make them harder, make them harder, make them harder. Boom. You know, and I also believe that going in, like when it comes to money, moving in a way that something is, I'm trying to look for the word now, but it's like constantly can grow, like rather than something that's capped. What's the word? My brain's gone.
Evolving?
Not evolving, no. Compounding.
Compounding.
Something that can compound. You know, starting a YouTube channel is something that will compound forever. The more content you put out, the more things you do, the more social you are on social media, the more it will compound over time. You put out one video now, maybe it gets 10 views. But in 100 years, how many views has that video got? It compounds over time, right? So I think investing in things that compound over time, putting yourself on a path that allows you to invest in compounding things, it's inevitable you're going to make money, right? Like if you just keep doing that thing and you learn how to do it, then it's inevitable that you're going to make money. If you put your time and effort into things that are capped, becoming a maths teacher, then you have your ceiling, right? You know what your ceiling is. So how are you ever going to make money? It's impossible. So it's very, very difficult. If you're I keep saying maths teacher, but if you're a maths teacher now, you know, okay, maybe I don't know how much math teachers make anymore.
Let's 40,000, 50,000, maybe 60.
Let's say 100 grand. Okay. Just be nice. Right? Okay, so these math teachers are making 100 grand. That's the most they're ever going to make. Right. So their lifestyle is only ever going to be able to live up to 100 grand a year. The house they're going to live in, the car they're going to drive, everything else. I'm going to use YouTube as an example, just because. But YouTube, you do it for the first 5 years, maybe you make £500 a year. You make nothing. But year 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15, you can have anything. It's uncapped. So if you're putting all your energy into a capped environment where you're a maths teacher, you're only ever going to make 100 grand a year. If you put all your energy into YouTube, you might make more. Not if you're good. If you're fucking consistent and you do the work and you believe in it, you believe in the system.
Because there's an audience for everything. Every little stupid niche out there, somebody will watch it eventually.
And I'm just using YouTube. It's something that compounds.
That's a
whatever
perfect
the compounding
example,
thing is. But YouTube's easy, so we say YouTube. Something that compounds over time, selling a product. We know guys who sell products online sales for products. If you cultivate an audience and sell something online and you understand the audience, you understand your avatar and you push it, it's inevitable you make money, and you'll make more money than being a maths teacher. It's inevitable, but you need to take the jump and be willing to make no money for 5 years. That's what it is. But if you either can go, you said about like crossroads, right? Before.
Fork in the road.
Your fork in the road is I can be a maths teacher, make 100 grand a year, or I could maybe make 100 million a year. Maybe.
Yeah, but it's more uncertain. That path is not laid out. You know, for at least.
So I could be a loser for the rest of my life, or maybe I could be a winner. I'm always going to pick the winner. Always. I'm that guy that whenever I always go for the winning shot. Whatever I'm trying to do, you could play it safe, or I'm always go for the win. You're playing Tekken and you've got no health left, and if you pull off that special move that you know you're going to win, I'll go for the special move. 1,000 times out of 999 times out of 1,000 times, I fucking lose. But that one time I'm going to hit. I'm the guy that don't gamble with me, bro, because you'll lose all your money. But yeah, so I think like again, it's just a decision. It's a decision of where you're going to put your energy. If you want to become somebody, if you're just happy, if you have 100 grand a year as a maths teacher, 60,
if you're happy,
50,
you're happy.
If you're happy, you're happy. You don't have it's not all about making money. I'm just using that as an example.
But we also know that money leads to freedom, and every single individual, male or female, young or old, is responsible for their life. The little decisions that they make today will be the compounding effects that come and show up tomorrow. So if you say fuck it, I don't want to study, I don't want to read this book on money, then you're not going to get those lessons for when money comes in your hand tomorrow. Then you're going to fuck that up. It's those small things, like you said, that compound over time.
And what I think people don't.
How we doing? You good?
We're good. Yeah, your camera's.
Okay.
We're good.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. And that's one thing that people don't realize. Compounding, when you talk about the word compounding, everyone thinks about up. You compound down too, bro. So it's like, if you make negative decisions, they compound over time.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't talk to the right people, that compounds over time. It works both ways. So every decision you make and every conversation you have will compound in a certain way. People call it upward spiral, downward spiral, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. It's like, if you are not investing in the right things or putting energy, intention into the right things, if you're putting intention and energy into Netflix, that's a downward spiral. That's a negative compounding.
You'll have a conversation topics to discuss with your friends, but your friends are losers.
Yeah, exactly. No, but facts. You want to talk about the best series? To be fair, I just watched Griselda on the plane. It was pretty good. It's like about a female.
I know, yeah.
So Griselda Blanco.
Yeah, Griselda Blanco.
Right. It was pretty good. But yeah, like, if you're investing all your time in that and your life becomes this, people are accepting of normality, of a normal life, going to work from 9 to 5, coming home, seeing the kids for a bit, having dinner, watching Netflix, going to bed. That doesn't have to be your life. Like, it doesn't have to be. Right. You just have to find a different way to live. But people don't even want to look. You know, that's the reality. So I think,
But you know what? That's good. That's good for us. There's less competition.
There's that Dana White clip. Have you seen the Dana White clip? He talks about, I'm going to fuck it up. I'm terrible with quotes. But he says something along the lines of, everyone is such a pussy nowadays. If you have 1 ounce of savage in you, you're going to run over everybody. It's so easy now. Everyone complains about this weak man and all this sort of stuff. If there's weak men everywhere, it must be so easy to get pussy, right? Because there's no
come in there and take over the town.
Yeah. It's like you just invade, just in a different way. So it's like, if there's weak men that are giving up, everyone's giving up. You're always giving up. It's going to be easy for the guy that's going to not give up and just keep going. You know, we trained on yesterday or last week or whenever it was. My brain doesn't work, and
you got punched too many times, bro.
And there's a quote on the wall, super boring quote, but it made me. I saw it in the pictures. There's actually a picture of us, you swinging out a punch at me.
Yep.
I'll post it on Twitter later. And it said, "A black belt is a white belt that never quit." And it's so simple and so basic, but it's so true. It's so true. You just, if you don't quit, like, there's nothing wrong with losing. I wish I was good at quotes. I know a lot, but there's a Churchill quote, and he says something like along the lines of, "It's only a loss if you admit defeat. Like, if you keep fighting, you never lost. You only lose once you believe you lost." And when it comes to fighting, the judges say you lose, but then you keep going. You win the next one. You win the next one. You win the next one. Right. So it's like, I think that's so true in life, because there's no one that wins all the time. Yeah. Everyone that looks at people that win all, and that's the other thing. If you have anyone in your life that you look up to, anybody, that if you look up to a movie star, if you look up to some inspirational guy on YouTube, whatever, why do you look up to them? You look up to them because they risk everything. They go out there and they do all these amazing things, and they try, and they fail, and then they build back from it or whatever. So why look up to this guy, and why don't you just fucking do it? Honestly, the one thing I've never understood, which is weird being an athlete, is like fans that look up to athletes and wear some man's jersey on name on his back. I just don't get it. Why would you think, like, I want to be like that guy and not be like that guy? I've never understood it. I get there's talent and all that sort of stuff, but it's like,
you take that same mindset and you apply it to other areas. It doesn't have to be fighting.
Yeah, exactly. And you could be a fan of fighting, but I'm just saying, like, the guys that are like, don't do it themselves. They're just voyeuristic. The world, I think, has become so voyeuristic where everyone watches things. Oh, that's so cool. Do it. If it's cool, do it. Like, I don't get it. But I think that's just part of my character. I've never understood anyone like looking up to. And I understand looking up to people. I got mentors, people that I appreciate, but I only appreciate them because I want to do what they do, and I'll go out and try and do what they do. You know what I mean?
That's like, when I look at like successful people like yourself or like Andrew Tate, I'm looking to see. I'm first of all, I'm amazed at the elite level of operating capacity that you guys operate under. But I also am looking as a student. I'm looking at you guys and say, okay, what are these guys doing that allows them to live the life that they're living? Okay, you have a strong network. Okay, you have your discipline. You wake up on time. You say fuck off to these hoes, and you have these character traits and these sets of habits that lead you to success. So I'm a student of the game. A lot of people are watching as fans. And that's where the difference is. They just watching like, ooh, that looks amazing, looks fun. But you're fucking pussy. You're sitting on the couch and you're fat and your life sucks and you just are jerking off to fucking porn all fucking day. And it's tragedy.
It's tragedy. And I think
it's not their fault though. I think it's the system. It's a bigger evil, bigger thing out here that cultivates that kind of behavior. soy in the food and all kind of shit.
Again, you mentioned Tate, and he said something. Then he said, "There's people that got to flip the burgers. We need someone who's got to flip the burgers. There's room for everybody in life, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to break out the mold, it's down to you, and it's your decision. And I think what me and him have a lot in common, and I obviously spend a lot of time with him, is we're extremely analytical, and what you just said it in a way. And most men on the planet, 99% of people, not just men, they go through life and they don't review or think about anything. And what I learned from fighting is you have a fight, you win or you lose, you watch that fight back, you look at what you did well, you talk to your coach, and you improve that thing that you did badly. I'm really good at this, but I'm not so good at this. How do I get better at this?
Do you look at yourself like at those mistakes, whether it's in your life or either in fighting, from an objective point of view? Like
Constantly.
That's not you?
Yeah, constantly.
But
Like
it's
a third
hard though,
person.
right? Because you're watching yourself make those mistakes, so you get like a little emotional or...
Yeah, but of course. But you if you want the result, again, outcome. What's the best way to get the outcome? You look. There's a thing. Again, quotes. Alex Hormozy says. He doesn't say so much as a quote, but he says like, if you don't want to achieve the thing, list out the things that you have to do to not achieve the thing.
Right.
That's easier. It's easier to think of. Okay, if I don't get up on time every day, if I don't work hard, if I don't speak to inspirational people, if I only spend time with my boys, if I do all these things, I'm not going to be successful.
Right. He calls it like the inverted
Yeah,
solution.
perfect.
Or something.
Yeah, it's just whatever. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I just heard him say it. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, no,
Like, just do the opposite.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's easier to think of all the negatives and flip it to be the positive. I think because the way people's brains are wired sometimes. But for me, I'm in constant review. My whole life, everything I do, every word I say, every interview I do, every person I meet, every event I go to, every meeting I have, afterwards I sit there and think, what did I do good and what did I do bad, and how do I do it better?
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's just a game of inches, right? Of little tiny improvements and communicating better and whatever it's going to be. And then if you're slowly getting better across everything, give it 10 years, compound.
Yeah.
But most people, they make the same mistake over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it's not because they don't know how to change it. They don't even think to change it. They don't even look at it. They don't even think, oh, I fucking did the same thing. I did wrong there that I did last week.
Yeah.
I'm shouting at people. Why am I shouting at people?
Right.
So why am I angry? What? And then there was this thing that I learned. This is actually pretty deep.
Let's go.
I'm a deep guy. I had a really bad interaction with someone last year or a couple of years ago that made me so fucking angry. I didn't do anything because I can control my emotions. It's not like I beat the shit out of him like I could have. I strangled him to death. I decided not to, but I wanted to.
Yeah.
And it was in a situation where I couldn't do that thing, obviously, because I'm a man of society, and I don't want to go to prison forever. But I remember sitting there and thinking, why? Why did this incident upset me so much? And it was because he was disrespectful and et cetera, but who cares? Why does that make it? He wins if he's provoking an emotion out of me that is rage. It was rage, like pure rage, and what I decided to do was I went back over that thought process and I highlighted the things that made me feel rage.
You wrote that down?
Yeah, and then no, I thought through my brain. And I changed it. So I changed my memory of this moment. So the memory of the moment was causing me pain, causing me rage, making me angry. Right. Fuck this guy. Yeah.
And also negative feelings is a damper on who you are.
Compounds negatively, right? So I don't want that. I don't want to hold on to that pain, So I went through it and I rewrote the history of it. I rewrote what happened in my mind because memory is so subjective. We make memories up. It's all bullshit.
From our perspective, right?
It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. Your memory's bullshit. If you think you remember something, it's bullshit, right? You can change it. And this sounds well, I said about me being my true self and all the rest of it. It sounds kind of like lying in a way, but I went back through this memory that pissed me off and I rewrote the memory to be something different. And I reacted well in the situation. And we ended up hugging and I said goodbye and all that sort of stuff. And I thought over that 100 times. Over, and I was at peace with the situation. And I've been holding on to that. I spoke to someone about this. I've been holding on to it for maybe 6 months or a year or whatever. And I know it sounds like I'm still holding on to it, talking about it, but I'm not. I'm just trying to give you the example. And that, rewriting memories, this is, I think, something that holds a lot of people back. I think a lot of people don't feel good enough for whatever reason. They went through something. And again, they're going to sound so dismissive about so many things.
Fuck your childhood.
Yeah. It's like, think about the outcome. What do you want to achieve? I'll talk about my brother, make it more about me rather than talking about other people. I got two brothers. I got a super successful older brother, and I got a younger brother who everybody loves. He's like the social guy. He's charismatic. People love him, but he's never really done anything with his life. And he blames everything on everything in his life. He now lives in South America, and he's like not doing so well, like financially, whatever. Super charming guy. He's my brother. Love him. But he blames all of his failures on my parents. I'm like, bro, you've got two successful brothers who had the same upbringing, the same childhood, the same household, everything. And you are holding on to these negative beliefs about your family and your upbringing. And our upbringing was great, in my opinion. But that's because I told myself that. And I said, a super religious family. My mum was super religious. We didn't have birthdays. We didn't have Christmas. We were bullied as kids because of it. There was lots of like negatives too, right? But I frame it in my brain that me growing up religious, my mum made me speak in front of hundreds of people at church every week. I used to have to read the Bible, all these sort of things. Me getting up on stage and talking in front of 100 people as a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 10-year-old, 12-year-old, I got no problem talking on camera. Amazing. Thanks to my mum. My mum trained me with my language because she wanted me to be able to communicate very well, especially in church. She wanted me to have a good impression, all these things. So my memory of my childhood is positive. My brother's is negative. And he's now gone down this negative spiral of life because he's got into drugs, got into all these other things because he's hating on his life. If you just rewired his memory and be like, oh, sweet. I grew up with two big brothers, whatever. It doesn't matter if you're lying to yourself if you get the outcome that you want. That's like how I look at it. Is like, you don't need to hold on to these negative experiences. I mean, we had a discussion, maybe you don't remember, but you were having some issues with your family. I won't go into it exactly. And I was just like, bro, why are you letting this damage you and hold on? And I can tell you're pissed off about it, but that's not going to improve the outcome. Whatever this dickhead's doing, like, become friendly with them. Be the good guy. Be the big. It's easy to say from the outside, right?
Yeah.
But you're like, fuck that guy. And I'm like, no. Just think about it. Truly, what's the outcome that you want? You want a unity in your family. You want everyone to be happy. You don't want like to feel begrudged and hot. It's easy to say, but that's something I've really got good at is look, I mean, my life's pretty fucking awesome, so it's quite easy to look back at my life and be happy, but everyone has troubles, everyone has moments. So I've got really, really good at looking back at negative experiences and turning them into positive experiences. And in work and in my job and in some people that I fall out with, you know, I have problems with, I just rewire my memory. That guy's a good guy. And I like, what's the phrase again? Another phrase. Forgive but never forget. You know, like I forgive the person, I'm friendly with that person, I never forget that they did, but I'm not going to hold that against them so that we can't continue to grow together. And that, again, we spoke about Andrew quite a lot, but that's one of Andrew's like super strongest points, I think, in business, is he always leaves the door open for everyone. You know, he never closes it. He never like, fuck you, never. I've never seen him do that ever. He might hate the guy, but he'll never close the door. He'll never be like, this guy said, because 10 years down the line, that guy might have utility, he might have been helpful, he might have changed someone, you never know, right? So I think it's the same in relationships, it's the same in everything. Like, if you fall out with some girl or with some family member, why shut the door so tight that you could never speak to that person again? Because that person might evolve, they might change, and they're going to speak badly about you, it's going to add negativity to your reputation, to the world, whereas they think, you know, they could be like, oh, Tony, I don't know, rather than fuck Tony, he's a piece of shit. Like, there's two very, very different things. If you leave the door open and you can continue to build off all those experiences, I think it's a great lesson to learn, because I'm a very, like, I do what I want to do when I want to do it. If you don't want to be a part of my life, fuck you, don't care. Like, I am a bit like that, but now I'm much softer in that regard. Like, I'll leave the door open. Anyone wants to get involved with me, I'm always there, you know what I mean?
Yeah. We do actually have some topics we got to cover, bro.
Sorry, bro. I like to talk.
Just a few of them, bro. So I think, I mean, at least for the viewers, you started out telling your story up until the point where you had a few fights in the UFC. But you're training for the UFC, right? And I know we're switching gears a little bit, guys, so sorry for that.
It's only because we've been talking for like, how long, an hour or something? But it's
how long have we been talking for?
Over an hour.
Oh, shit. Okay.
No problem.
All right, so look, we're going to... I'm curious about this. I had a video actually, I traveled to Zanzibar, which is an island off the coast of. Okay, I know you're trying to fight and shit. An island off the coast of Tanzania. Beautiful place, man. If you've never been there, you got to go. And I met with an owner of a gym who brought the first MMA gym to this island. Incredible guy, Ali Simi Ali. Check that interview out on YouTube as well. And he said something that went viral. He said, Muay Thai is the most brutal sport in the world. He said, boxing, yeah, you try to punch the person, you try to hit the person, but Muay Thai is the most brutal because you intentionally are trying to cause pain. And the amount of uproar, I didn't think that it was that controversial of a statement. I mean, in my eyes, Muay Thai seems more dangerous, more brutal. But a lot of people got offended by that. People were like, no, boxing's the most brutal. Have you seen how many people got blah, 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 blah. What's your opinion on that? What's the most brutal martial arts where that can cause the most damage, in your opinion?
Okay. A lot of people are autistic, and they want to believe what they want to believe because they do that thing. So if you're a boxer, you want to think boxing's the most brutal. If you do Thai boxing, you want to think that's the actual most brutal sport, I think, is something called Lethwei, which is Thai boxing, but with headbutts. So, or you have like bare knuckle MMA, that's pretty brutal as well. But as for like a sport that's more recognized, he's 1000% right. Thai boxing is the most brutal because in Thai boxing, if you take a step back, if you're in the ring and you're fighting each other and you step back, you lose points. So the idea is that you have to literally walk through each other. So there's no like dancing around, footwork, movement. You'll find when you watch Thai boxers that transition into MMA, they're very static, they're very stiff, they're very square. Because it's literally like, I'm fucking harder than you, I'm going to elbow your head off, that's it. It's just back. In boxing, you've got a phrase called toe-to-toe, right? When you move toe-to-toe, Thai boxing is toe-to-toe for the whole fight. There's no movement backwards, there's no finesse. There's a little bit more now, but traditional Thai boxing is like you stand in front of each other until one person falls over. It's by far the most brutal, by far. Boxing, I think, you've got guys that Thai box from the age of 3, and by the time they're 16, 17, their career's over because they've fucking destroyed their bodies, they've destroyed their brains, like little Thai kids. They've had 500 fights. So boxing, I think, is extremely brutal and bad for the brain. I think this is the flip that most people don't get. MMA is actually probably the safest sport for the brain out there because the whole 10 count thing in boxing is brutal. Like if I knock you down and you get 10 count to stand up, and then you get back up, and then I knock you down again and you get another 10 count to stand up, then I knock you down again and the fight's over. It's like you got murdered 3 times. Right. In MMA, if I knock you down, I get to go down with you and continue and hit and elbow, and the referee stops it. Right? So there's actually a lot less damage to the brain in MMA. Doesn't sound like it the way I just described it, but there is in boxing because boxing is repetitive. There's a lot more brain damage in boxing than there is in mixed martial arts because the fights are stopped. They're ended quicker.
That's what I figured. So I was trying to figure out what the fuck is wrong with everybody because it seems like, and also you have more tools at your disposal. Your elbow and your knees.
And not just that, but I had 10 or 12 MMA fights, and then I had one boxing fight. I did an ABA boxing fight in the UK, and I was terrified because I was like, wait a second. If I can't beat this guy with my jab or hit him, I'm going to get fucking wrecked. Like there's no another dimension. I can't grab him. Right. I can't take him down. I can't teep. I can't move. I can't do anything. If I don't beat him with my hands, I'm fucked. Boxing is like the most singular. So I understand what people were thinking about that. I've done Thai boxing fights. I've had boxing fights. I've had taekwondo. I've had every fight you could think of. So it's like, except for I haven't had bare knuckle boxing, MMA fight. That'd be tough. But like, it's so singular, boxing. So that's why I can understand what they're saying about being brutal. It's not brutal. Brutal is the wrong word, but it's like you either win or you lose. Like there's no in between. You know what I mean? The guy's going to pound you or you're going to win. It's so. That's why they call it like the science of boxing. But I think because it's so singular, I understand what they mean. Like there's no, like in Thai boxing, if you're getting hurt, you can clinch. If you can elbow, you can kick, you can teep them away. That you can change the less weapons that you get, the more difficult I think the sport is. Yeah. Like boxers are in my opinion, fucking lazy when it comes to training and competing compared to MMA fighters. Like the amount that you have to do.
Yeah, because you have to train so many different disciplines.
And as a Thai boxer, like boxing's so easy compared to those sports, but they become so proficient and good at one thing.
Yeah.
So I think now the science has kind of caught up with people like Anthony Joshua and you know these animals that are now boxing. But yeah, the basic boxing training is you skip, you hit the bag, you hit some pads, you do some sparring. It's like it doesn't hurt the body so much. But yeah, I know you wanted me to say something viral, but I would say, yeah, definitely Thai boxing is the most brutal, MMA is the most difficult, and boxing is for pussies.
Boxing is for pussies. Boxing for pussies, you already said. So even going back to, let's go back to UFC. When you made it there, I see a picture that's on your page of you and Dana White and Mike Tyson. What's the story behind that picture, and how is Dana White in person? Because he's a fucking G.
He's a fucking G. The story behind that picture is not that great. So I thought I was on this thing called The Ultimate Fighter. So I got to the UFC from turning professional in 22 months. So I turned pro as an MMA fighter. I had my first professional fight against a guy who had 18 professional fights. He was 14-4 or whatever. I can't remember his name was Chris Creek. He had a haircut that I didn't like. He had the mohawk and a tattoo on the side of his head. I was like, fuck that guy. So I wanted to fight him. My coach was like, I don't know if you should fight. If your first pro fight, if you fight some guy that's had 18 fights. I was like, oh, I know I'm going to win. Like I just knew, you know. So I took that fight and I beat him. Second round knockout. Boom. It was a sick fight. And then I had 3 or 4 more. And I'm going to have to go back to come back, right? I know. So my first ever live MMA fight was in Southend, and I watched a friend of mine fight called Fabio Ferrari. That is his name. He's Brazilian, half Italian, good-looking bastard, was a bodybuilder, became an MMA fighter, used to get tons of pussy. And then he introduced himself as Fabio Ferrari. Yeah. I mean,
it's pretty G.
He's pretty G. Cool guy. I haven't seen him in ages. And he fought a guy called Matteo Peran, who's an Italian fighter, in Southend on the first live event I ever went to. And I remember that fight like it was a brutal war. And Fabio won, and everyone was happy. And then I remember when I started training and fighting, I was like, I want to fight Matteo Peran. That's the guy I want to fight.
The guy that Fabio beat.
The guy that Fabio beat. I was like, that was like my first goal, if you want to call it a goal in fighting. I want to fight Matteo Peran. And on my 5th professional fight, I fought Matteo Peran in Southend in the same arena that Fabio fought him on, in the same place, same cage, stone throws away from where I live. And I battered him, like absolutely merciless destruction of this guy. I mean, flying knees. I remember I elbowed him and he went down, and I jumped down with an elbow and caught him, and it was brutal. First round, decimation. By that point, I was 22 months into my professional career. Oh, no, I wasn't 22 months in there. I was like 18 months into my professional. So a year and a half, I've been a pro. And I'd been an amateur for about a year before that. So I'd only been fighting for 2.5 years. I hadn't been fighting very long. And we got an email. And my coach, Robbie, had always said, and we've gone back to visualization and all that sort of stuff. My coach, Robbie, had always said, you are going to get to the UFC via The Ultimate Fighter, which is this TV program. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. But he'd always told it to me. And when I was sleeping on, when you're sleeping on the floor in a gym, you don't have a TV, you don't have much to do. I used to read a lot, like every self-help, like positive book you could think of. Started with actually Rich Dad Poor Dad was the first book that I read.
One of the first books I read.
Yeah, everyone. I think that's like the gateway drug. You know what I mean? Robert Kawasaki. I mean, amazing book, and a lot of my ethoses came out of that, and I think a lot of people did as well. And he's still banging out content, and I don't know if you follow him, but amazing guy. And then I was reading loads of these books, and I used to set goals. I used to write down inspirational quotes. Had a blackboard in my like little den or whatever you want to call it. And I used to say to myself, one of my affirmations became, I will find UFC by the time I'm 25 years old. That was like my thing. And he said it every single day. And I was like, started fighting, and I turned pro. I was, I was 23. So anyway, that time I had those 5 fights. I then went into the Ultimate Fighter. You have to fight to get in the house in the Ultimate Fighter. 5 weeks before I fought to get in the Ultimate Fighter, I dislocated my AC. So my collarbone popped out on my shoulder, and I couldn't raise my arm like above here. You know, I did physio like crazy amounts.
Nobody cares, bro.
I know exactly.
Yeah,
nobody cares. Nobody. You're right. You're right. No, you're 1,000% right. Nobody cares that your AC's fucked. You need to perform. You need to win, right? So I went to the Ultimate Fighter. I fought to get in the house. I fought one of Nick Diaz's students. I can't remember his name now. Okay, Nicholas Coring. Look at that memory. And I couldn't lift my arm above here. Like I had like this. But I was notorious for getting hit with the overhand right anyway, so I'd never defended it. It wasn't a problem. And I went in and I beat that guy, put on one of the best performances I've ever had. And Nigel was the only guy that flew to watch, because you could only have like 3 guys watch, but Nigel, he came and supported me and saw that fight. And he's like the only guy that ever saw that fight, because it never went anywhere. Then I had another fight against a guy called Gilbert Smith, and I knocked him out. I was the first fight in the series. There was basically, I had the fight with Nicholas Coring. You get on the Ultimate Fighter, so you have to fight to get in the house. I got in the house. Everyone who's on, so you get it because you're from the States. But if you're European and you go to the Ultimate Fighter, yeah, it's not a big deal. But the Americans, it's like, I'm famous now. I'm a celebrity. Everyone's gonna know who the fuck I am. I'm like, because it's on Fox, on TV every week. They have no one watches it in Europe. No one cares. Yeah. In England, it wasn't a thing. Like I can walk around my hometown in England, people don't even know who the fuck I was. Like when I was, but I walk around in the States or in Vegas, people would say, "Oh, you're on the Ultimate Fighter." Da, da, da. It's like a whole different thing. So, first day after doing that and getting on the show, we all went in the house and there was 14 guys and they're all like, "We made it. We're on the Ultimate Fighter," da, da, da. When there was this big party and everyone was eating and I've had a few drinks and stuff. Next day we're in the gym and they're like, "Okay, we're going to pick the first fight of the tournament. Luke, you're fighting Gilbert." It's like, "Oh, I was just drinking and eating a load of crap yesterday." Like, what do you mean? And my weight I was like 28 pounds over the weight division, and I had to weigh in the next day.
Nobody cares, bro.
Nobody cares, bro, right? So I got this AC busted up. I'm a big fat guy. And I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? So I'm on my own. I don't know nobody because the season just started. There's 14 guys that I don't know. And I had to cut weight. I had to cut 27.5 pounds of water weight in 24 hours. And I had Mike Dolce, who was like one of the coaches on the team. He helped me. But I remember sitting in the bath in the house, like the hot bath, like sweating, not knowing nobody, and just being like, I'm gonna die. I know, but like serious, I'm gonna die. Like, and I had to. There was a guy called Jimmy Quinlan that helped me a little bit, and I was fucked. I was absolutely fucked. Anyway,
well, you thought because you had made it to the house that was it. Like you didn't.
No. But I didn't realize that was gonna have to. I didn't realize I was gonna have a fight 2 days later. So it was like. I thought.
What do you think you was gonna do? Just chill in the house for a week? Like they got you a villa? Like,
no, but at least I'd get like a day or two to like, get used to it. So I was like. Being the first fight was tough. It was tough. And I made the weight, obviously, because I'm mentally a fucking demon. Mm-hmm. And I made the weight, cut the weight, fought Gilbert. I was giant. I knocked him out with a knee. Great. Get to the picture. Mm-hmm. Next fight was against a guy called Dylan Andrews. And this is where my mentality kind of was shook a little bit. I fought the third fight against Dylan. Dylan was a bit older than me. I don't know how old he is now because it was 10 years ago. So he was like... I was like 25, 24. He was like 32. He'd had like 30 professional fights or whatever. He's from New Zealand or something like that. And on the Ultimate Fighter, you have none of your team around you. You know what I mean? Like John, the Jacks, the Robbies, the Nigels, like I spoke, they're all gone. You just have. I was on Chael Sonnen's team. He was my coach, and me and Chael got on great, but he wasn't my guys. So all of the like, you're 100% alone. Remember we said it's no one cares, bro. It's all on you. I'm sitting there thinking, fuck, I've had 5 fights, or 7 at this time, pro. This guy's had 30. He's 32 years old. He's blah, 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 blah. I saw him fight the other guys. I was like, this guy's good, And I went into this fight against Dylan, like, not believing I could win. That's basically what I remember, like, at the time. Because my I was still young. I was getting G'd up by my team, but it wasn't right, So I fought Dylan. We had a fucking sick fight. In the Ultimate Fighter, used to work that like you fight 2 rounds, and if it was 1-1 going in, you'd have a third round. So it was like, I can't remember how it went, but he won the first and I won the second, or the other way around, and we had a third round. Going into the third round, I was like, fuck, I can actually win this. And I came out and I did something called a leg reap, but took him down, and I was on top of him in full mount, and I was like, smashed it. And I got overzealous and threw a shot, and he escaped out and stood back up to the feet. And as I got back up to the feet, he hit me with a liver shot, like a big shot to the body, and it hurt. And I like crumbled down, and he ended up beating me. And I got kicked out. I ended my thing on the show. It was like the semi-finals, or I can't remember exactly what it was. And from that, after that fight, before that fight, as I was warming up, Mike Tyson comes in. And he's like, "Hey, bro, just wanted to wish you good luck." I'm like, "All right." Sweet. Nice to meet you. And then we had me and Dylan went back. We won fight of the season, so it was like the best fight on the show. It was a crazy fight back and forth. And obviously, after Mike went and said hello to me, he went and said hello to Dylan. I didn't know at the time. And then we had this big fight. And then after the fight, I was devastated. Just lost on the Onward Fighter. I'm out the show. I'm out the competition. Blah blah blah. And Mike comes over and like gives me this big speech and talks to me about how this can only make me better, and I have to draw from this negative emotions and improve, and how I put on a hell of a fight. And he could show that he knew that I was a warrior, and all these things. Had like maybe a 3-minute conversation, you know what I mean? And
so after your loss, you get a personal message from Mike Tyson. He's like giving you a pep talk.
That's
pretty fucking G, bro.
Well, yeah, but I was in tears. So it's like, it's G, but I wasn't acting like a G. Anyway, so then in that picture, so then after that, he gave me this talk. Dana comes over and he like was talking as well, and he said, "That was one hell of a fight, bro." Blah blah blah. And I said, "Oh, can I get a picture?" Mike's here, and that's where that picture comes from. So it was like after me being in tears and losing a fight, he gave me a pep talk, and then Dana comes over and we get this picture together, and I get Mike to sign one of the gloves that I fought in. So Mike Tyson signed that glove, and I gave that glove to Jack Mason, my mate, because he was a huge Tyson fan. Like I was a fan, don't get me wrong, everyone's a fan of Mike Tyson, but he was like huge. And without Jack, I would never have done nothing. So I decided to give him that. But yeah, that's where the photo comes from. Bit of a long description and answer, but yeah,
it's good. That's what's up, man. I mean, just to have a picture of a solid memory of Mike Tyson and Dana White in that moment, I'm sure that was huge for you.
Yeah, for sure. And you said about Dana, so like for me, I somehow, I don't know if Dana's like this with everyone, but I have like a great relationship with Dana. Like
he seems like a G. Like look what he did in COVID.
Yeah. No, he's the man, bro. He's the man. Like so many things about him that I like. But I remember when I was on the UFC, I was 3-0 or 4. Like I was winning. I was on the way up or whatever. I remember asking Dana for like a meeting to talk to him, because I wanted to be a coach on the Ultimate Fighter. That became like one of my goals, and I was so nervous, like shaking to talk to this guy. You know what I mean? Like, because at this point, I got a couple of stories about Dana, to be fair, but at this point, I was like, I was so nervous. I can't explain it. Like, you look up to people, but for Dana, if you're a fighter, Dana is the gateway to all of your dreams. You know what I mean? Like, if this guy likes you, he can make your life. He's like a kingmaker, you know what I mean? Boom, whatever. And you just have this, and I was a kid who'd never have a serious conversation. I'd lived in a gym, you know what I mean? I was just like, nothing now. And I remember being so nervous. And I went in there and he didn't laugh at me, but he was like, smirked, like, "You all right, bro?" Like, as you can see, I was just shaking, I think. You know, he's like, "Yeah, what do you want?" And I'd like to coach you on fire. He said, "Listen, bro, keep doing your thing and you can definitely do it." And he was super, super nice and whatever. But that moment and that meeting that I had, I realized that he was human. You know what I mean? Because I didn't. You have these things and you look at these people like they're not. And we spoke a little bit, but ever since then, everyone on the Ultimate Fighter, he at the end of because we had a great season, Dana takes you out at the end of the season and he gave everyone his phone number. So you're like, and this was again like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like, everyone on the show got his number. So you could need anything, bro, just let me know. I'm here for you.
I wonder why he does that.
I don't know.
At his position, like, you want to be less accessible,
more
accessible.
But I think he's just showing, like, actually that
he cares.
He cares.
Yeah.
The fighters mean a lot to him. Everyone talks shit about, but whatever. And I'm not sure anyone else, but I used that contact. You know what I mean? I spoke to him a little bit, and I remember. So the show runs for like, I don't know how many weeks it runs. I'll mess it up. So let's say it's 16 weeks. I don't know how long it runs on TV for 16 weeks. But my debut in the UFC was the last week. The show runs on a Wednesday and we fought on a Saturday. So in the UFC, when you fight, you normally fly into town on the Tuesday. So everyone flew in. So everyone who fought on this season of the Ultimate Fighter got a shot to fight in the UFC because it was such a good season, blah, blah, blah. The reality is that they were light on middleweights. They needed more middleweights in the division.
Which is good for you.
But yeah, it was good for me at the time. But it was the best season of the Ultimate Fighter, so I got a shot. And yeah, so all of us are there. Like, I think 12 of us, 2 people didn't go, so there's 12 of us there. And the final episode of our TV program that we'd all been on was being aired on the Wednesday. And we're all in town in Vegas. So I'm like, we need to all watch the episode together. You know what I mean? Like, surely, even though we're fighting each other, everyone knows each other. We all lived in a house together. It's not, you know, whatever. So I remember thinking, I'll ask Dana to sort something out to like make a night, you know. And when you fight in the UFC, you get per diem. So like you go there Tuesday to Saturday, you get like food money or whatever. So they give you a check or they give you cash for a per diem. I can't remember what it was. Let's say it was $300 because I really don't know. So I think it was more than that actually. I think it was like $500. Anyway, so I get given $500 and I'm like, I'm in Vegas, I'm going to gamble, right? Like, so I get given my per diem money, which is meant to pay for my food for me and my coach, and I decide to go put it on black. Right? I put it on black and I win. Right?
And you do it again. You don't fucking leave.
I do it again, and as I put the money down, I get a phone call because I've been like trying to get hold of Dana to organize this thing, and Dana rings me, and I pick up the phone. And I'm nervous. I got $1,000 on black. Right? I'm nervous, bro. And now I get this phone call from Dana. I'm even more nervous. And I'm like, hey. He goes, oh, hey, Luke, you've been trying to get hold of me. I said, I got this idea. 1 second. I'm just putting all my per diem money on black. And he laughed and he said, that's my guy. I remember. And I won, took the money, put it in my pocket. So now I turned 500 to $2,000, which at the time for me was like crazy money, right? So I put it in my pocket and I'm like, hey, so now I've won. Like in my head, won that. And I said, listen, I got this idea. I get all confident with Dana and I'm like, come on, we're all in town. We should all get together and we should watch the last episode together. I think it'd be great for the guys, but you got to be there. Like we could all do it, but he said, say no more. I'll sort it out.
Wow.
And then he hung up, and I got a message or an email from his assistant. He booked this like exclusive sports place, like a sports lounge or whatever they call it, where he brought all the coaches in. Chael was there. Everyone was there. Dolce was there.
And this is all like last minute.
Super last minute. Yeah,
wow.
yeah. And it was like this really high end sports place. And there's a big picture of us all like together. And we all watched the final episode together. And he puts on food and drink and booze and pays for the whole thing, obviously. And it was pretty cool. And like I made that happen. So I feel like I've got this like ability. I don't know what it is, right? You used to call it vibration or energy, but even people like Dana, even people like Chael, who I ended up training with, even all these like celebrities or whatever, people that I come across in my life, I stay in contact with them. I stay in touch with them. They remember me. That there's something. I don't know what it is. So now to this day, I've had a million ideas, million of them. I come up with the idea to start like a UFC NFT project, like, you know, like fighters moments. And I text Dana, like, got a fucking $1 million idea. And he's like, bro, we're on this. You're 3 weeks too late. I was like, fuck. I always think I'm going to come up with something. But yeah, so I have like contact with him, but not really. But he will talk back and forth. But the fact that I can message him and he'll respond. Like 10 years later after I've been, this is what, again, talking about Dana, people don't understand, like, why do that? Like you said, why give your number out to all these people? There's so many positive things and positive stories I know. And another one, when I got cut from the UFC, was I lost to a guy called Mark Munoz, who was a big name, the Filipino wrecking machine. I fought him in the Philippines, in Manila. And I was on like 16 and 16 or something like 16,000 a show, 16,000 a win, something like that, plus sponsors and all the other crap. But you only get 16. You only get the second payment if you win, right? I lost, and I was getting married, and I remember I lost my visa to America. I had to fly home. I was living in my wife's parents' house. I'd just been in the UFC, been this big celebrity, all this sort of stuff. I made a bit of money, but I spent.
Yeah.
The money I made, I spent very, very quickly. And I ended up being back in Liverpool, or near Liverpool in the UK with my missus and her family, laying in bed. Like, fuck, I got this wedding to pay for. So I think I owed like 14K on this wedding. And I was like, never going to pay it. Like, how am I going to make money now? I was lost at this point. And I woke up randomly in the middle of the night. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, like stressed, you know, like, how am I going to pay for this thing? And my phone goes off and I get an email and it's from the UFC and they're like, listen, Luke, loved having you being part of the company. Here's your win money. And they sent me the 16 grand, even though I lost.
Wow.
You know, so like, and it was, there's so many things like this that happen that you don't hear about. You only hear about the negative stories. Like, oh, this guy fucked me over, blah, blah, blah. But I've heard so many things like that. So for me, it was, and I do understand that, like, some people have a negative experience, some people have a positive experience, whatever. But for me, the UFC was up highs and lows or whatever, but it was an incredible company to work for, and super, super positive. And my dream was always to go back there. So when I came out, I actually went on a 5-fight win streak, and I got offered to go back and fight in the UFC.
You got an offer to go back?
Yeah, and at the same time, I got offered to fight a guy called Barnatt Explains, who was the number 7 middleweight in the world. So I could fight the number 7 middleweight in the world. I'm going to fucking destroy, obviously. Or I could go back into the UFC. And to go back into the UFC, I think I was ranked like 48th or something like that in the world at the time. So to get to top 10, I'm 3-4 fights away of fighting killers, fighting the UFC, blah, blah, blah. So in my remember when I said I always go for the win?
Yeah.
Remember I said that, right? In my arrogant mind, I believed fight Barnatt Explains, beat the shit out of him, then go back to the UFC in top 10 on top tier money, blah, 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 blah. So I decided to fight Khalidov. And I fought Khalidov in Manchester Arena. I got knocked out in 21 seconds and had probably the lowest moment of my career.
Wow.
Lost my UFC opportunity. And life goes on. So that was a low point, and I never made it back because there was all the UK guys, the European guys, they would get there, but no one had ever got back there. There's a few American guys that have been dropped and then come back, like late notice, whatever, but Europeans, that never happened. So
wow.
I wanted to be the first guy. I'm sure there's been someone since, but again, this was 10 years ago.
Wow, that's a hell of a story, man. You got stories for days, bro.
Yeah.
How we looking on time, Darius?
We're good, bro. Took forever.
Yeah.
4 hours, no problem. 4-hour pod. You're Joe Rogan now, bro.
Yeah, right. All right, you know. Speaking of like going back to that quote that Dana has said about weak men and strong men, some of the weakest men alive today with money are fucking streamers, bro. I literally hate streamers, and it's not the fact that they're making money. Yo, more power to you. Make all the money you can in your life, my brother. But the weak physical stature of guys like Neon or Aiden Ross, it just upsets me because they take this attention and they capitalize on doing the dumbest shit in the world. They start fake fights. They'll pose. They just do like just completely just shit that you wouldn't do as a man, bro. Even this guy Neon, he's a complete clown. So he started dating this OnlyFans chick. That should tell you something about this guy. He starts dating this OnlyFans chick, and he's like parading her around on his stream, and I think she ends up like fucking some other guy, and he's going through her phone like a fucking bitch. I've been there, bro. So maybe you can get back from that. And then another thing he does, he likes to walk around. He starts fights with guys with his 6'6", 250-pound bodyguard next to him. It's like, bro, what are you doing? Why are you masquerading around as a shit talker, but everybody knows that you're a bitch? Like, what's going on with the guys these days and the influences that we have for our children?
I mean, that's a deep question, bro. I know when it comes to YouTube and streamers, and I'm like, I don't know nobody. I know this Neo guy because I saw it on Twitter and I got confused. So I was like, no, this isn't real or something like that. And I'm sure he had some interactions with Andrew.
Yep.
And then shaved his head.
Yep.
Because I've seen that. I've seen a tweet where he posted a picture of him with a shaved head and said something like, I'm a G now, or something like that. And Tristan responded like, takes more to be a G than a haircut, bro, or something.
Yeah.
Like that. So it was just funny. So I know of these people, but honestly, I don't live in this world, so I don't. I need to study it more and understand it a bit more.
No, you don't, bro.
No, but I do, because again, people ask me questions. I need to have some sort of commentary on it. I saw. Obviously, I know of Aiden Ross because of Andrew's relationship with him, but I never met him or anything. But I just think the access and the availability of the internet that these guys. How old are these guys?
20,
exactly.
23,
Listen,
22,
bro, when I was 20, right? When I was 20, I might be a G now, but when I was 20, I was no. I told you I challenged Jack to a fight to go try and get. Like, I was this skinny dweeb, and that's what I see this Neo kid as, like a fucking skinny dweeb that's trying to be something that he's not. He doesn't understand who he is. He doesn't know who he is, and he's being raised in a time and a culture where, you know, if you are getting financially aided by being a dickhead, you're going to be the biggest dickhead on the planet because he's making money. I mean, I don't know who this OnlyFans model is, but maybe he got the banger.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's like the only piece of pussy, yeah.
So imagine being this 20-year-old or 19-year-old dweeb who gets to bang some. Imagine she's attractive. Honestly, I don't know anything about her. Mm-hmm. So it's like, That's his access. He's just a child. He's just an absolute child and a dweeb. And I feel sorry for these guys because the standing they have in life now, they're just becoming clowns because they don't understand what it takes. Like it's like anyone who's got like a trust fund, you know, or like got money that they haven't earned. They don't really deserve the finance that they've got. Like I think I like the ideology that the money in your bank is adjacent to the amount of value that you add to the world. So if you add value to the world, you have a big bank account. But these guys don't add any value, but yet they've still got a big bank account. So there's the disconnect.
Yeah.
The disconnect for them is that they don't add any value. They add entertainment.
Yeah. So, but that's the issue. It's the consumers of the bullshit who are rewarding them for the fake value that they add.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is there a problem with them or is there a problem with the world? You know what I mean? Like
They're a reflection of the world.
They're a reflection of what people are willing to spend their money on. Like I did a stream, one stream. It was like an hour and a half. Did it on Boxing Day. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Me just talking shit, you know. And I was amazed. Someone sent me $55. Right? I'm not joking. I didn't even know it was possible. Again, I know nothing about it. I was like, what is this? Like, someone's giving me money to talk shit? Like, even me, I was like, bro. So, I don't understand this world. I really don't. I don't. So it's like the whole Neo thing. I've seen pictures of him. I kind of know who he is. There's another guy like Zerka. You know Zerka?
Yeah, him too.
But I saw him have a fight with some
other streamer.
Okay, so that's what I mean. Like HS TikToky or TikTok or what's his name?
I don't remember.
Okay, so he got pieced up. TikToky would fucking smash the shit out of him, and he was posting it like he won this fight. It was embarrassing. I commented again on Twitter. I was like, this is just embarrassing. I don't understand it, but people love it. So good on him. But I think, I think the problem, again, make it more serious, is like it comes down to the parents. Right, comes down to us as parents. I'm a parent, you're a parent. It comes down to us allowing our children to be exposed to or influenced by this absolute bullshit. If you're gonna let your kids sit on TikTok or YouTube all day and watch these streamers, that's the problem. So the problem is guidance of the youth. It's got nothing to do with these guys, like you said, these Neo or whoever they are. It's not their issue. They've just found a gap in the market and they're trying to exploit it. They don't realize that, and this OnlyFans thing was just. I saw Myron. You know Myron. I saw Myron.
Fresh and Fit, right?
Yeah, I follow him. I met him a couple of times. He's quite a funny guy, so I follow him. That's how I know about all this crap because he's like a influencer or whatever. So he's commenting to get in the game, right? I like Myron. I think he's got quite a good outlook on some things. When it comes to women, he's crazy. But that whole Neo, that's also that Neo OnlyFans thing because he's like, what do you expect, bro?
Yeah.
This is what you're going to get. But you said it like, when I was 18, I got my heart broken. We all do. You know, like that. So he just got his heart broken publicly, and it's embarrassing the fact that he's showing the world that he's whatever, you know, like it's just crazy. But we live in a different world.
Yeah.
And I think he's found a gap in the market to make himself rich. You know, when he's 40, he might be a pretty well-rounded individual. I'm not sure. And that's and again, coming back to Nigel used to say to me, I cannot wait for the day that you become a well-rounded individual. Because I was like, couldn't care about anything else unless it served me about fighting. You know? So I guarantee these guys don't care about anything else in their world. They don't care about anything else in their life unless it serves their stream. Yeah. Unless it serves their reputation. That's all they care about. So they're all in on becoming the most viral guy in the world, and they're doing embarrassing shit for it that's disgraceful. But the numbers are not disgraceful. They're going up. So in his mind, he's winning because his whole goal in life is to get that number to be higher, to be more influential. So I think one day he'll become a well-rounded individual, and he'll be so embarrassed with what he's done with his life. I hope, at least. But yeah, I think the problem is with the parents that are allowing our youth to be exposed to this bullshit. It's like it comes down to the lack of influence with the kids. So that's a big problem. And it comes down to there's so many things we could talk about, but it definitely comes down to the parenting. Well said, bro. Well said. And, it is Black History Month, so I want to talk about Negroes. Okay. All right? Okay. All right? It sounds like you're going to get me in trouble.
Well, I don't know. Let's see. I'm talking about the kind of Negroes that get leg extension surgery because they're so much of a pussy that they want to be, they're like 5'7", they get teased a little bit, and then they go to a doctor, they pay $70,000 to get 6 inches added to their height, and they go through they go through about 6 months of recovery just to be able to walk again fully. They on fucking canes and stretchers and all kind of crazy shit. What's the mindset of a guy? Would you get leg extension surgery, bro?
Is only Negroes doing this? Is this a Negro
I'm just saying, get a Negroes.
Oh, shit.
Come on, bro.
I didn't even see that. Negroing surgery from the Negroes. Okay, I get it. Okay. I mean, obviously I wouldn't. I'm fucking 6'6". I'd be 7 foot tall. I think there's that whole thing, right, in culture where they talk about 6 figures, 6 inches, or whatever. It's 6 foot, 6 figures, 6 inches.
Yeah.
So, like, apparently, women can have standards, and they can say, I won't date a guy unless he's 6 foot tall. But if I say I won't date a fat bitch, they're going to hate me, right? You know what I mean? It's like this weird thing. So, guys are feeling these insecurities about their height, and I really am not the guy to comment on it.
Bro, this is exactly why you're here, to comment on it.
Being 6'6" is pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie. Like I walk into a room, everyone fucking knows, bro. Because but I also, I think it's an American phrase. They call it big dick energy, right? Mm-hmm. So like, I believe that anyone can have that. It doesn't matter. Look at Floyd Mayweather, right? He fucking made it. He's a small guy, but he made that best of it. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no excuse. Everyone's different. Everyone's got advantages, disadvantages. We had sparring the other day. I said that little dude who just kept coming at me like a crazy guy. Speed. He uses my weaknesses against me. He's small. I'm big. He wins. You know, like when it comes to the fighting game, because he come forward, speed, everything else. So there's always advantages to being small. There's advantages to being tall. I know it sounds retarded what I'm about to say, but I feel like style, like looking good and dressing well, is much harder for a tall guy than it is for a small guy. Small guys can wear crazy shit and really go out and have like different looks. I can't even buy fucking shoes, bro, because my feet are too big. I'm certain things. So there's a lot of advantages to being small as well. Yeah. But yeah, getting knee growing surgery is fucking gay. If we get down to it, I think for me, this goes against what I just said, but all this surgery bullshit that's coming, like with women getting all these surgeries.
Women, like they've been doing it for a while. I'm okay, like with that, even though I don't really like women with plastic surgery. But as a man,
no, that's what I'm saying. But it's kind of blending over now, you know,
because men are soft.
Because men are women, women are men. I don't know. But like, I think like I've had fucking my teeth done. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I've had my hair done, right? So I can't say, oh, no one can do shit. But I think doing things that that's what I'm saying about the knee growing surgery. It's a bit of a grey area. I think it's gay as fuck, but I think it's a great grey area because I think doing things that you cannot change, like I cannot change that I'm going to lose my hair. There's nothing I could do. So I got my hair done, right? I think that's acceptable. But if I was going to get a nose job, or if I was going to like, I don't know, like
chisel your chin,
get fucking biceps put in, or like Botox in my chin. I've seen these. I don't know. It's going too far. It's going too far. Yeah. I can't really comment. I don't want to say. I like to say things that are clean. Mm-hmm. Where I've never thought about knee growing surgery. Right. That's the first time I've even heard of that. So I feel like I can't really comment. But I would definitely not get it, and I would not advise anybody to get it. If you're insecure about being short, then just grow up, bro.
Yeah, 100%. And what do you think Andrew Tate would say about somebody who got...
he would have the smartest answer on the planet. That's why I don't know. Fuck knows.
He'd fucking clown them. Yeah, you got to ask him.
I got to get better at clowning people. Yeah. I'm so nice and friendly. I know I look like a cunt. But I don't like saying like horrible things about people because I don't know their situation. Yeah. But I feel like if you're going to get knee growing surgery, then
technically it's called leg extension surgery. I just like Negroes. It's Black History Month.
I really thought you were going to ask me like a race question. No. Yeah, I think it's gay as fuck. I don't know. I don't know how else to put it. I think.
All right. 2 more topics, and then we're gonna wrap it up, man. It's been a fantastic interview so far, bro. Thank you for being here, man. Let's talk about your friendship with Andrew Tate. You've known Andrew Tate for a while. You fought him in your youth years. He beat the fuck out of you, so I hear. But you've seen the different phases of Andrew Tate. You've seen him as the young fighter. You've seen him as he became infamous. Then you've seen him as he became notorious. Now he's Muslim Tate. What's like from your perspective, being somebody who has a relationship with him? What's changed most about him over the years?
I think, like I said, it's been 13 years or 14 years since I've known Andrew, and we used to train together. And I fought him. He didn't beat the shit out of me, but he did win, and he did beat me. So I have to take that on the chin, even though I still don't believe that. But yeah, no, he did beat me. We fought in the same cage in the same place in Southend where I'm talking about that fight that I had in UWC back in the day. The biggest change I've seen in Andrew, he's always been like obsessive. You know, that's every fighter have to be.
Every successful person, to be honest.
Yeah, he's always been like that. But I tell this story. So the phases of Andrew that I've seen or whatever is obviously I fought him. He was my enemy, and I always say like, Andrew Tate with hair is my enemy. Since he shaved the head, we're bros now. All's good. But when he had hair, he was my enemy. And then I remember the first time when we saw each other, when we weighed in against each other, he came with Tristan. Obviously, you don't see Andrew without Tristan anywhere. And they were fucking like intimidating. Like they had this aura about them, and they were like angry people. Like sometimes fighters come and they're like friendly, and you have this respect thing in MMA or in jiu-jitsu. But these two were like I knew they were there to kill me. Like you could feel it about them. They're serious people, serious dudes. They've always been serious dudes, dickheads as well, and stupid and funny. But they've always been very, very switched on and serious. And they put the intimidation on. I remember at the weigh-ins, and then we fought.
Did it work?
Me. Yeah, for sure.
Were you afraid?
For sure, it was my second fight. I was like, this guy fucking hell, come at me like a whatever. And I missed weight. This is the only time in my career I missed weight. It was my second fight. I missed weight, and I remember him going, doesn't matter, I want to fucking kill him anyway. I remember like him like not bothered. I was like, okay. But yeah, so then enemies, he beat me. He was very respectful afterwards. He said that was a tough cunt. I remember. He didn't use the word cunt, but I love that word. And then we started training together at Lions Pride, which is Jimmy Manua's gym. And then he used to travel up to Cambridge when I was fighting kickboxers, because Andrew's a kickboxer, really. He's not an MMA fighter. I would bring him up for sparring, and we'd hang out, have food, whatever. But that was like the relationship, you know, just like training partners. And then I moved to America for the Ultimate Fighter and for the UFC and all that sort of stuff. And at the same time, he moved to Romania. And we stayed in contact, but this was like before Instagram, before all that. So it was a bit different. And then he started making money, like give up kickboxing and start making money. I didn't know, because I was just couldn't care less. Like I'm on my own path. And then I came to Romania to fight, and he actually commentated. Him and Tristan were the commentators on my fight in Romania, and it was a surprise, and I didn't know. And then
everything comes full circle.
Yeah, so we were like, I just remember I knocked this guy out with like I broke his rib by kneeing him in the rib, and then I went to kick him in the head, and as I went to kick him in the head, he like dropped down, and there was like Tristan screaming, and he was on his feet because he obviously was on my side, because we were like boys. And I looked over and I was like, what's happening? And then we went out, and I remember this was fuck knows how many years ago now, 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, I can't remember. And they had some dude following them around with a camera, and we were in Ploiești or some shithole in Romania, like the worst place ever. And they took us to some club that was a shithole, and it was crap, but it was all we had. And some guy was videoing them, and I said to this guy, "What?" This was
right.
Even now, I'm a bit weird when it comes to this stuff, but back then I had no clue what this was, and I was like, "Bro, what are you doing? This is weird." He's like, "Oh, you know, these guys, they pay me to follow them around and to video them, and they make YouTube videos and da 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 da." I was like, that sounds gay. Like, what? And I said to Andrew, like, what is this guy doing? I'll ignore him. Don't worry about him. Just have fun. Just forget about him. We're doing this YouTube thing. Okay, cool. And then we got wrecked. Tristan challenged me to drinking. I ended up getting drunk. He carried me home. They both carried me home. I remember Tristan literally carrying me and then putting me in bed and like kissing me on the head and saying, "Good night, bro." And,
is this on Take Confidential somewhere?
No. So this is what I found out later. So this was something called the Hateful Tates. So this was pre-Take Confidential. So this was like forever ago. You know what I mean? And I remember speaking to them about it, being like, "What is it? Oh, we're just documenting our lives." And the cameraman was like, "These guys, their lives are insane. You should see it. They kind of got these fucking Aston Martin going here, doing that, clubbing, girls, blah, blah, blah." So it's just fucking Andrew and Tristan being dickheads. What are you on about? How is this impressive? And I never quite got it. And then we like separated again for a little while. And then Andrew carried on growing and everything else. And he
was so ahead of his time.
Yeah. So this is what a lot of people don't understand. I think about anything, not just about Andrew, but about anything. He was doing YouTube for 10 years or 12 years, making videos, forever. And then 2 years ago, he became unbelievably famous. Everyone said, "Where's this guy from?" He's been doing it and trying. He went on Big Brother, been trying to be famous forever. You know, like he's been grinding for years, not just like...
It wasn't overnight.
No, overnight, you know, like forever. He always wanted to be like famous. Always. He did like reality TV show with fighting. He did Big Brother. He was always after it, always trying to do something different. And where they come from is a shithole. So they had this like chip on their shoulder. You know what I mean? Then they did it. They made it. They were doing great. And I was unaware. Even when they were videoing me, they were making money then. I was unaware. And I'm very like nonchalant guy, and not so like, I don't ask a lot of questions. I just, whatever, bro, good on you. I care about this thing. If you want to talk about this thing, well, I'm good. And we love fighting. He's still unbelievably passionate about fighting. And anyway, so I saw him about a couple of years later. He came to Marbella, where I'm based. He did something called the Cannon Run, which is like a drive. And we hung out, and he was hanging out with some like rappers and all these like money men. And I was like, what are you doing, bro? Like, who? He goes, these guys are nutters. He was telling me how crazy these people were he was driving with, and how they wouldn't care if they died, and all this sort of stuff. And he's like doing the Cannon Run, but just like hanging back because he's scared one of these guys is going to like drive into him. And they were at some pool club in Marbella. And then this was around the time where I was finishing fighting, like coming towards the end of fighting. I said to him, like, because he'd retired from kickboxing and he'd obviously done quite well and all that sort of stuff. And we had like a 2-hour, like deep, like everyone was being drunk idiots. And this is the thing about people don't understand about Andrew. Andrew can be an idiot, and he is a bit of an idiot, but most of the time he's like very, very on it, serious guy. Even when he's partying, now he doesn't drink because he's Muslim, but before when he was drinking, he didn't really like, he never got wrecked. Did it a bit, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not really his thing. That was Tristan's thing. So he's always like pretty serious. So we were there. I wasn't really drinking. I'd just been at the gym or something and come to see him for a bit, had a few drinks, and we like sat down and had this like proper deep conversation about my life and what was going on and how I'd see what he was doing. And he just kind of like helped me see myself in a different light. We were talking about how you like limit your own brain and how you limit yourself before, and how you believe that this is a lot or this is a lot. And he kind of like opened my eyes. Didn't do a lot, just said, do this, and I just did what he said. And it was it was a first step, or whatever you want to call it. Then he came back to Marbella a year later or 10 months later or whenever it was. We stayed in touch, but nothing crazy. Same as like, this is what I'm saying. I said about Dana, I said about Chael. So Andrew's another example. Like me and Andrew stayed in touch. We weren't like boys calling each other every day, but we just respected each other. So we speak to each other. Then he came back, and this time around, he was like, I'm going to be in Marbella for like 4 or 5 days. I want to have a good time. It's your city. You tell me where to go, blah, blah, blah. And this is when he still wasn't big, but he had money and he wanted to have a good time. And I was like, cool, I'll organize everything. I love planning things. I'm a bit of a, and I'll drive you around. I'll look after you, all that sort of stuff. And you're talking about the difference and the change that I've seen in him. He's always been like very switched on, but I believe now that the most impressive thing about him is the energy that he emits and how focused and the intention that he has in every moment of every single second of every single day. He doesn't waste any time. He's all about getting shit done. So I was driving him around for 3 or 4 days, 5 days, whatever it was in Marbella. I took him booked all the restaurants, booked everything. We had a great time. And every moment of every second I was with him, he was like perfect posture, talking perfectly, listening to everything, aware of everything going on, never tired, never yawned. His energy was like clean. I don't know how else to explain it. Like the vibration that he emits is like, he would just be sitting at a table and people would just come to him. Not famous, no one knew who he was, nothing going on, He just had this like thing.
I'm wondering if that's like before and after when his father had passed.
So there's the thing he talks about, I can't like comment on it too much, but he talks about, and I've been thinking about it a lot recently, and he says that you never truly become a man until your dad dies. And I was like,
well, maybe that was it.
Maybe, but I don't. I think it's the repetition. I think he's very serious. He's more. I mean, he's super serious now, but back then, like he was more serious when his dad passed. But I think it's just like I was talking earlier about building up. Like intention, like you layering pressure. Remember when I was talking about fighting, you have to learn little bits, you layer your pressure. I think he just layered pressure over himself for so many years that now it got to the point where he was like, he doesn't show any signs of weakness. Like I said, would never yawn. You'll never see Andrew, never, ever, ever. He's always switched on. He's always like, especially in public, like, but even not in public, even back at his house, like he's just like on it constantly. And I think he's built that up. Like you can't do that. You can't go from being a loser to being like that. Everyone thinks you just turn this switch or whatever. He's like an hour of focus. then an hour and a half of focus, and then 2 hours of focus, like build it up day by day by day. But now he is 24 hours. This is what I'm trying to be like. He's 24 hours a day focused on what he needs to get done. There's no distractions, no bullshit. That's the biggest change I would say that I've seen. He's always been a serious guy. He's always been switched on, always been hyper intelligent, but it's his intention to get shit done that super impresses me. And his whole setup, the whole way his life is set up, is to give him free time to be able to do what he needs to do. When we train, he has the laptop or the phone, or like if we're boxing, in between rounds, he's on his phone working. Like he's not resting. You know what I mean? He doesn't need to rest. He's like on it. Same when we do, like you would have seen like the videos of doing shoulder press or doing bench press, laptop. Like he's always doing something. He's always hustling. And I think that's the biggest change that I've seen him in, is just the amount of energy and intention that he puts into his stuff. But he's not really changed. It's not. He's always been that guy. He's just turned the volume up and up and up. And I think with the pressure that now he's under, with everything that's been going on and everything else, I think he's just even more like the volume's turned up. You know,
so I mean, to be in that position and to stay there, you know, when you have so many different people trying to take your head off, like from every different angle, finance to social media to this to that, and you have to stay sharp in order to win. Yeah. So I think he realizes that, and he puts everything on the line, and this is more important than anything else in the world.
I just think, again, it's the chess mindset or the fighter's mindset or the outcome mindset. He's like, he's a competitor. Yeah. We used to say in fighting, or in MMA at least, you have different types of fighters. You have competitors, you have athletes, you have mixed martial artists, and then you have fighters, like street fighters, you know. And I was always a competitor. If it's me versus you, it doesn't matter if we're playing darts, piddlywinks, you call it tiddlywinks? No, okay. Coins, whatever it is, you know, whatever stupid, shitty game you want to think of. High card, you know the game High Card? Like where you literally just pick a card off the deck and whoever's higher wins? Yeah, I don't know. I'm competitive as fuck, right? I will do anything to win. Yeah. And Andrew is like that, but times 10. So if you turn something into a competition, he's going to win. Whatever the outcome is, that's what he's driven by. Yeah. He's driven by competition. So I think he obviously found his whole game and everything that he's doing and his whole lifestyle, he's built out for a reason, but it all comes back down to competition. He wants to win. And if anyone's going to challenge him at anything, he's going to do anything he can to win. And that's we have the same mindset in that regard. I think all fighters do. He just managed to, you know, siphon off into something else.
Yeah. Okay, and then this other thing that I keep seeing that you post about, and something that Andrew talks about a lot, is something called like the war room. Like what is that, and why is it beneficial, and who could it benefit?
I mean, the war room is a network. It's Andrew's network. I work heavily within it, and it changed my life. So that I didn't bring it up earlier, but you said about, like, I had that discussion with Andrew, and he said do this. The thing he said was I was trying to get into like cryptocurrency and learn about crypto. And he was like, my cousin's into that. Join the war room, and he'll teach you everything about it. So I joined this network of guys to learn about crypto. That was the reason I joined. And then they run these events, and I went to one of them, and it had nothing to do with crypto. And I was like, oh, this organization is much bigger than what I expected it to be about, and it has a lot more value than I expected to have. I thought it was just all about making money with crypto, because Andrew hadn't really explained it very well to me. But then it's grown into this global network. I think we're in 52 different countries now, and we have thousands of members across the globe, and we run. It's basically, there's so many different ways, because I'm heavily involved in it now, so there's so many different ways people utilize it. But for me, the best thing about it is that I have a brotherhood and people all over the world that I can rely on, that you know are vetted, that you know something. So we've just been in Miami. I was in Miami. I know a load of guys in Miami. I literally went to the best restaurants and the best nights, got the tables booked by the best people, because I have a network. I go to Miami. I want to go to Delilah. I want to go to, I can't remember the name, Mila, whatever the top spots are there. I just text the guy, he books them for me because he knows the managers or whatever, you know. So that's one aspect to it. So if you travel a lot, it's super useful to have like on the ground knowledge. You know, that's like a very practical and easy way. But what it kind of is it's trying to, for men to become the best version of themselves and to excel across all all different paths of life. So we have so many different members with so many different outlooks. We have so many people that made loads of money. We have professional athletes. We have so many different outlooks on life that are all built into one system. That, like, there's courses within it that help you develop different skills, different mindset. I do a course in there about mindset, obviously to do with fighting, that you can learn directly from people that have done it. So one of the big phrases is like, why would you learn how to make money from someone who's not a millionaire? If you want to learn about money, you want to learn about how to make money from someone who's got money.
Right.
Well, there's hundreds of people in this network that have got millions, and that they talk through different tactics on how to utilize it. So that's another thing about it. But the network is just, it's just a society of men that are trying to become the best version of themselves and trying to push themselves and trying to really help each other to excel.
Yeah.
You know, and I think for me personally, coming out of the UFC, not knowing what the hell I wanted to do in my life, and then joining this network and being exposed to, like I said, the guys that make $100,000 a month, $1 million a month, the guys that are in relationships with multiple women, like whatever, these different mentalities, you know, I would never, ever, ever, ever have been exposed to it without the war room. And just by being exposed to it and identifying that it's possible, it's 10x my life.
Yeah.
You know, because without seeing it, you know, how do you know it's true? You can see online all these people talking on Instagram about how amazing their life is and learn this bullshit from me. But when you actually shake hands and you meet the guy and you look the guy in the eyes and you learn about his business and you learn about his life and you see the car he drives and the people he's surrounded with, it's just like, it's real. You know, so a network of extremely, you know, well, I say extremely, but very, very, very successful guys that are trying to become successful at everything. Yeah. The difference between the War Room as some other like men's group or some other entrepreneurs group or anything like that is they're trying to become the best at everything. It's not just about money. It's not just about women. It's not just about network. It's about all of it. You know, like the fighting culture within the War Room, we're trying to get people to become fantastic athletes, to live healthy, to live long lives with great relationships, and understand that money's important, but it's not the most important thing in the world. You can have loads of money and still be a loser. We talked about streamers earlier that had no context on.
Maybe they should join the War Room.
1,000%. But the problem, the reason people don't join is ego.
Yeah.
I got loads of buddies that I think would benefit massively from the programming and the things that we teach inside the War Room, but they would never learn. They would never accept that they need to learn something because they're so ego driven and believe they're perfect or believe that
the cup is already full.
My company's worth 12 million. I've already smashed it. Why should I learn? I don't need advice from nobody. It's like, yeah, bro. But what about your relationship? What about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? And anyone who's not willing to learn shouldn't join. Anyone who's not willing to improve shouldn't join. It's not like, look at me, I got big balls and I'm the best. It's like trying to help each other. Yeah. And I always, because I do it with everything, and I talk about martial arts, but I always talk about it as if it's like a gym. So if you join the War Room, it's like walking on the mats for the first time and you're a white belt, you know, and then you've got people in there that are different grades, different things, and they can teach you. And the best thing about being a black belt is teaching a white belt. You know, you have like mentors, mentees, and peers, people that help each other across different things in different places, and that's just like the gym. For me, when you achieve something and you're good at something, the next step is to teach other people. Otherwise, you're not giving anything back. You know, you have to give something back, and that makes you feel good. And I think that's what the War Room's all about, like achieving, being high achiever. And then once you're a high achiever and you've made success in whatever part of that life it is, teaching others to be as successful as that. And there's like a exchange of knowledge. So, you know, the value exchange is there. I teach you one thing, you teach me something, or we help each other. Or maybe, like I said, I'm traveling and I'm in Dubai or I'm in any part of the world and I've got brothers that I can meet up with, talk with, and you know, and create stories with. And I think that's something Andrew talks about a lot. And this is another part of the War Room that's great for, if you're a successful guy and you're smashing it in life, a man is only as valuable as the stories that he can tell. And the stories that we get from the War Room and the adventures that we go on and the things that we do within the organization,
unmatched.
It's unmatched. There's nothing like that on earth. Like, we do things that is not possible. So if you're some rich guy or some guy that's done well for himself and you live in a boring existence, this is something you can do to challenge yourself and to really like have stories and do things that are just life altering and you can talk about forever. You said I got a lot of stories from the UFC days or whatever. I have a lot of stories that I could tell, and we've been going on forever in this podcast. But I think life's all about the quality of the stories that you have, and that's what the War Room does. It gives you experiences to tell better stories.
Wow. So that's amazing, brother. It really it goes to show the proof of the vibration that you expose yourself to that raises your vibration. So if you have a network of guys who are killing it in every single area, you're naturally going to just get better in every single area because they're going to point out your flaws. They're going to say, yo, you're a fucking dickhead. Why are you doing this like this? And that sounds like a great organization to be a part of, man.
Yeah, and it helps everything.
How do I sign up?
I mean, you can message me on Instagram. That's a good way to do it, or on Telegram, but Instagram's the easiest way. You can message WR Ready, or you can just message me and I'll explain it to you. But yeah, message me on Instagram. My Instagram's @LukeBarnatt. And then from there I can direct you if you want to join.
Sweet. So Luke, brother, listen, you've been a big inspiration in my life, and I'm sure for so many more people. I remember one time you sat me down and you was like, bro, like you're better than this. Like, and you really made me reflect on, what I was doing wrong, and also going back to those self-limiting beliefs. Like, I clearly had that, and you saw that in me. So I appreciate you, brother, for pointing that out. And I think we had a great episode, man.
I think so too. And because I love to talk, I'll touch on that as well. And I feel like if you don't have friends that do that, you've got the wrong friends. Because a lot of people want people to be surrounded by people that are nice to them. And I want people to be nice to me. I want people to be truthful to me. And that's like, they say, like, the more truthful you are, the smaller your circle gets. Because most people don't like being told, listen, bro, you're so much better than this bullshit you're doing. Why are you talking like this? Why are you doing this? I was saying, within the war room, I remember a guy, I stood up and I gave a talk, and I was talking about my gym. And I was quite negative. I was talking about, like, oh, maybe you guys are making a lot of money and you're doing this, and you're doing, I haven't done that. And I was like humble, And this humility, it's good to be humble in certain ways, but this humility, if you've achieved something, you should be proud of it, and you should fucking shout from the rooftops about it, and you should talk about it. You shouldn't be scared. There's that movie Coach Car. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
There's that speech to that kid gives. Where he says that most people are scared to shine bright because they don't want to outshine everyone else around them. It's like tall poppy syndrome, we call it in the UK. That is the problem. That, like, I want everyone around me to shine bright. I want them to be the best. I want them to make me feel inferior. So I have to be better. That's what I want. And if I'm doing something wrong, I want them to say, listen, bro, what the fuck are you doing? I don't want them to go, I want someone to point out my mistakes because I want to become better. Yeah. And I believe that mentality is the cornerstone of what the War Room has and my circle has. Yeah. So that's why I said that to you, because I care about you. I want you to be better. And I don't understand why you're limiting yourself. I have the same thing with lots of my friends. And I just think if you can take that, and it takes a special sort of guy to take it on board, to listen to it and to change. Yeah. Because it's hard to be like, well, bro, I thought I was doing all right. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, we've had a beautiful episode, and I appreciate you having me on. The studio's great. That's the kind of reason I came to see the studio. Come all the way to fucking Washington, D.C.
Black History Month.
For Black History Month, because you finally got me out here.
And he's not a Negro. He's not a Negro at all.
I'm not a Negro, and I've not had Negroing surgery either. I am 6'6". I am a giant. But yeah, no, thank you very much, brother.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate it.